is being conducted in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Excuse me, please.
Notice of this
Thank
meeting
you.
has been provided by advertisement in the Cape May Star and Wave, the Herald, and on the Township website, and has been posted on the bulletin boards at Township Hall.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad.
Here.
Councilmember Neville.
Here.
Councilmember Simonson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Clark.
Here.
Mayor Beck.
Here. Before we move down to the work session, we have a couple items. The first of one is the Put the Brakes on Fatalities Day, designated as October 10th, 2014. Okay, so whereas across the nation, traffic crashes caused approximately 34,000 fatalities in 2012, leading cause of death for young people 15 to 34. We had 542 in New Jersey. Alcohol accounts for 22.7% of these fatalities. 57 motorcyclists, 14 bicyclists, 132 pedestrians were killed in traffic-related crashes in 2013. Safer driving behaviors such as buckling up every ride, obeying posted speed limits, stopping for pedestrians in crosswalks, and using crosswalks when walking, avoiding aggressive driving behaviors, never driving impaired, wearing proper safety gear. Focusing solely on driving by avoiding distractions can dramatically reduce the number of traffic-related injuries. Therefore, I, Mayor Michael E. Beck, and the Lower Township Council do hereby proclaim October 10, 2014, Put the Brakes on Fatalities Day, and call upon everyone to put these life-saving behaviors into practice to improve the safety on the roadways in our communities and throughout the state. Thank you. Now we have a presentation from the Commander, Billy Howard, from the VF Post 5343. Come on over, Bill. I'm a proud member of that post.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, public. For people who don't know, the other week down this way we had the Run for the Fallen. Little does people know in this township, Eileen here is a big part of it. She's actually the vice president of the Run, and it's something the VFW here is very well involved with Eileen's help. She always nudges me when she needs something. And Eileen, can you please come up? I'd like to present Eileen with 2 checks, one for the Run for the Fallen and the other one for Gold Star Mothers. For anybody who doesn't know what a Gold Star Mother is, it's the mother of a person that lost their life in combat. So it's 2 very important missions and stuff that goes on, and it's to help everybody never forget the sacrifices of the people that's going on to defend this great nation. So Eileen. Thank you, Mayor, Council, for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we move down to the work session, which is a presentation on the police department by the manager. Michael, it's all yours. Take it away.
Okay, good evening, Council, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have our police chief here and his police administration in the back of the room looking for a new police department. We also have Dan Showski and Jerry Blackman, our architects, and Vince Orlando, the engineer, on the project. We're here tonight to address council on any questions they may have on moving the police station back here where it originally was until it was moved to the airport in the mid-90s. You've all been provided with the estimated cost to construct the new police station to adjoin this building and also convert this room into municipal court. Dan Shiowski prepared and supplied for you a report from the beginning of this task until now. We met last week with Superior Court personnel to make sure that we included in the new construction complete compliance of court security as required by law. I have a letter to that effect that I presented to you tonight from the Superior Court Administrator. And as you can see, the plan tonight, if any of the council wants to, it's already been incorporated. As you're well aware of, since you've heard it many times, there will be no tax increase. I want you to hear that clear. There'll be no tax increase by providing a new police station here next door. Matter of fact,
There'll be time for questions later on.
Matter of fact, you've heard from our Chief Financial Officer, our auditor, that next year we could bond up to $29 million without a tax increase. So many times people said there's going to be a tax increase. I can't say it loud enough or strong enough or honest enough. There'll be no tax increase. Council has copies of all the studies that have been prepared that all recommend we move from the current public safety building. You're all familiar with the leaks and environmental challenges that we have incurred. I've prepared a quick visual presentation to give you an idea of our last mold challenge a few months ago. We believe that all can agree it wasn't a good financial decision in the 90s when the police were moved to the airport. To date, the taxpayers have put out over $4 million of taxpayers' money on that building. 75-year-old tractor factory. And it won't get any better. It's like taking good money and flushing it down the toilet. Your money. Our police deserve better to be in a new police building that will be environmentally pleasing, that will have windows and the best updated equipment for the people of this community. Last Friday, we received an email I did from Mike Laffey, my counterpart, the Chief Operating Officer, with a report from their internal staff that did a study. We shared documents back and forth on the building. It seems that they have an interest in putting emergency management and central dispatch there. My request would be that if they go forward with that and invest in the building, that they allow the Lower Township Rescue and the Fire Bureau remain in that building. I plan to work with the county to assist them in meeting their goal. However, it wouldn't make any sense to keep the police in any section of that building. Councilman Conrad and I met last Wednesday afternoon, which I provided him all the costs that he's been asking for. I believe that we have supplied all the information to date that council needs to move forward. By putting the police in courts here, it will provide convenience for the public that we serve with public transportation. You know, a lot of people, it's a shame, don't have money, don't have cars, and they end up in the court system. They have no way of getting there. There's no public transportation back there in the airport, but here there is. The longer we put off the police the longer we put off moving the police out of the current public safety building, the more costs will be passed on to the taxpayers. The sooner we get out of there, the sooner you'll start saving money. I am concerned for the health, safety, and welfare of all our employees in that building. I'd like to take 2 minutes and just do it, if you'd like, come down and see the slideshow.
Sure.
We get dim the light yet. I'll move this.
Pull the screen down.
Oh,
Why don't we go that way and we can see their voice?
okay. Well, if I can do it.
Tom, will you hit those lights on your way around, please? Sure. Thank you.
I'm going to try to be brief, and let me move off this side so everybody can kind of see. This is from the last mold investigation that we had to conduct at the Lower Township Public Safety Building. Again, looking out for health, safety, and welfare. There have been 5 professional air quality tests since 1991, prior to the township purchase of the building. Each time the problems have been remediated to the satisfaction of POSHA, that's the State Environmental Organization. Due to the nature of the problem, moisture, they keep occurring. March 28th of 2014, Cyrus, an environmental firm, performed an independent air quality investigation at the Lower Township Municipal Public Safety Building because the air quality compliance received from the employees complaints. The objective of the independent air quality investigation was to inspect the areas of concern, collect swab, bulk, and bioaerosol samples in the area of concern for fungus, which is mold, to be analyzed. Cyrus collected 5 samples utilizing swab kits. The swab samples were analyzed for mold. Cyrus collected a piece of the drop ceiling in room 148. A total of 16 non-viable bioaerosol samples, including a reference sample, were collected. Every swab found an instance of mold. 12 out of the 16 air quality samples had results that were considered to be of concern and warranted further investigation and/or corrective action. Now, these type of mold, you'll see there, these are in building materials inside the building, chipboard, plywood, wallpaper, glue, carpet, etc. Where there's moisture, they tell me, trapped in an environment. I don't understand the names of those mold, but I know they're pretty serious. Here's just an example, a small example. We keep replacing ceiling tiles from the water leaks of the roof. This is a vent. You can't see it real good on this one, but these spots are mold. You can only imagine this is a vent right here. And there's air ducts. And I'm told in those air ducts, you're going to find plenty of mold if you start tearing those things out. That's a serious matter. More water stains, more tiles replaced, more of that. The water stains in detective room, 146, drop ceiling. Here you can see a better shot. This is all mold, and this is what we're breathing over in that patrol bureau area. More leaks. That's a part of paneling in one of the rooms over in the police department, detective room number 140. That's mold on the wall. Another duct. There's more mold in detective room 142. It's a camera case in a storage room where they put investigative materials, and that's one of the cases has mold all over it. Another on the paneling, that's in 142. More mold, more mold. Look at that one. My God, can you imagine if you had that at your house and your children were breathing that? Would you do? Yeah, you have to fix it, that's for sure. And that's up, excuse me? Every time I told you, we've done it 5 times of remediation, and we've been told it'll never go away the way the systems are set up. That's the mold on the metal. Another vent. More drips from the ceiling. More leaks. More leaks. Because, now here's creative. The rescue squad chief, Chief Hart, in his office, has a funnel. He took the ceiling tile out, a funnel, and a garden hose coming down to a bucket every time it rains to deal with the flooding, the leakage from the roof. That's a disgrace. There's more mold and leak. More. And it goes on and on. Now here it is, a better one. This is another leak from the ceiling. The water is funneled down into a wastebasket every time it rains. I'm dead serious. And nobody should have to work in those conditions. Now the truth is, and I'm going to tell you the truth, we can agree the police station should have never been moved to the airport. I think we can agree on that. That's the truth. The truth is the township has spent over $4 million to date on this building. The truth is the interior was constructed by in-house public works, and the building's quite a maze. The truth is the HVAC system, which is the heating and air conditioning, is dysfunctional. The system is configured for the original usage. Cannot get proper airflow, hence moisture buildup, and most mold is found in the air vents, as I said. Thermostat controls the wrong rooms. You could be in this room with the thermostat, and it's heating my room down the hall. It's all twisted and backwards. The reconfiguration of the system and the replacement of the ductwork will have a $1 million plus tag. The truth is the building is not conducive to police work, it's not public friendly, and it's not convenient. The truth is the police stations are always, and look throughout New Jersey, on the same property as it was here, attached to the municipal building. Reason number one, they're a part of the municipality and should be accessible to all the public, not tucked away back in an airport. The truth is we need to be concerned for the health, safety, and welfare of our employees. The truth is all reports over the last 2 decades suggest getting out and moving back to this municipal complex. The truth is our professionals, our chief of police, who you'll hear from tonight, all agree the location to the original building, and that would be next door. We should support our chief, his officers, by moving forward with the new building. Bonding this police station will not, again I say, cost a tax increase. And the truth is, as your manager, in order to provide good, effective government, I strongly recommend moving it back and providing the community with an efficient new police station. Thank you. At this time, the chief's going to give some testimony. Chief?
Yes.
We're going to take some public testimony.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody coming out here tonight. Appreciate Mayor, Council, Manager. Just a little background. I'm not really going to deviate much from what I spoke about a few months back as far as the public safety building. Back in 2011, I was tasked with a chore to think about moving the public safety building back to the complex located here at 2600 Bay Shore Road. Brian Marker was the chief at that time, and what we did is we formed a committee of members of the Lower Township Police Department and looked at everything as a whole, as the benefits of moving to this location, and what we saw would help our agency and our mission move into the future. This committee included officers from each division of our police department who gave a fair, opinionated, and a complete assessment as they felt. As you can see, I mean, obviously we've been working in a building that's been needed great repair for some time now. I had concern earlier because I was the one who initially reported the current mold problem that we had because of some of our officers, and I was obviously concerned about their health and their welfare. We actually looked at everything from the utilization of space to the technology that we would be moving over to this building. We were able to identify benefits to this location as well as a conceptual design that fit the mission of our agency. That was working along with Dan Siowski and his firm to design the best building that we could possibly build for the money that was able to be spent. We determined some of the benefits would be to promote consolidation of resources. Moving the station back to Lower Township obviously would be a big process as far as consolidation. On a daily basis, I don't know if many of you know, I deal with the rec center. I deal with the manager on a daily basis just because of the police department and how it's run and the things that we may need through day-to-day operations. This sometimes is at an inconvenience because many times a day have to get into the car, drive over here to speak to him on different issues and things that may be going along. That's one obviously benefit. The other one is to enhance the public access and accommodation. I mean, obviously we're in the back of a rear of an airport where, in this day and age, people are probably familiar where we are, but it's off the beaten path. It's not really accessible to most of the public on a regular basis, especially somebody coming to and from the court systems that use public transportation. Also, like I said, we identified that allows for a convenience of public services at one location. This basically is a one-stop shop. You could come here and take care of a lot of your different needs. I mean, somebody from the township can pay their taxes, come to the police department, deal with whatever issues they got to deal with, all in one location. We also reviewed the overall demographics of the township when we looked at this. I got to tell you, there's no political agenda on my part. I just want the best possible police station for the officers of this agency that's going to be able to move us for the next 25, 30 years into the future. When we looked at this, we looked at the overall demographics. Most of our year-round population, obviously, as you all well know,
or from North Cape May section and the Villa section, which obviously warrants for a more needs-based response to these areas. I've been working with the mayor, manager, council on combating these drug issues and the drug addiction that we've been plagued with throughout our whole county, including Lower Township. And some of the areas that we identified were obviously located within Lower Township, Villa section, and North Cape May. The new facility places the agency closer to those areas of concern. I'm not going to say to you that our officers ain't out on the road each and every day and are in your zones and locations to provide services to you, because they are out there. But there are times where you have to facilitate using your resources and push them into a specific area that needs more attention than others. And that's what we would do, moving that station back to the villas. We would force our officers into them locations to provide better services. At times we need to tailor our responses to our local so-called hotspots, is what I call them. We have a lot of them within them areas of interest, which is villas in North Cape May. It also provides a focal point to the area and provides a sense of security. And I say that not meaning that this police department could probably be in several other locations, but the bottom line is that this is a needs-based location that needs attention. And I personally feel, and I think everybody here would agree, if you lived in an area that needed a lot of attention, that there was a lot of draw, a lot of police activity, that area would probably be a kind of place where you would want to have a police department. I mean, this way your officers would be coming to and from that location every day on a daily basis, and to be seen throughout that area more often. And obviously one of the biggest things is this is one of the township's largest areas of juvenile gathering. We have the rec center, you have the library here. We've had several problems that we've dealt with over that area several times. We're over here located just beyond the library area. We have a grade school behind us. All of our schools are going to get the attention they need. Just because this police department's going to be here doesn't mean that other schools aren't going to get the attention they need. We're going to focus on, and I can assure you, and I can assure every citizen in this county, that you will always get the services no matter what happens in a decision here. I'm just giving you a logical explanation and a reasonable conclusion that why I think that this is the best location for this police department. Obviously, you know about the current public safety building, difficult, very not efficiently able to manage personnel just because of the size and the separation of the divisions within that building. If you've ever been in there, I mean, it's a very big building. It's difficult from, I'm all the way down one end of the building. Patrol officers and lieutenants are down the other end. Effective communication is essential, obviously, for an agency. It's a challenge. Challenges are in that environment every day. We have to really make a concerted effort to get out, talk to our officers, and get around and see them every day. The building is much too large for that type of atmosphere. I could say, I could speak on, I've been in that building forever. I've been stuck in several rooms in that building that's really just, they're like little cubby holes, and I mean, it just makes for a very uncomfortable, unnatural location to work in. There's no natural outside lighting, obviously no windows, no ventilation. A large portion of that building is not utilized. In my conclusion, I say for the best part of this whole thing, building a state-of-the-art modern facility would accommodate not only the Lower Township Police Department, but I think the citizens of this township. I'm just here to tell you that I think this is the most logical place based on these factors. I also want to ensure, like I said, every one of our citizens of Lower Township, no matter what is decided today, our services as an agency will not be hindered, and I am committed as the Chief of Police to provide everyone with equal services according to your need. I appreciate your time and effort tonight. Thank you.
I know that the chief has another commitment that he's going to have to leave. Is there any questions from the audience or the council before the chief has to leave to another meeting? Yes, ma'am.
Chief, I respect
Identify yourself, please.
Oh, okay, Janet Pitts Villas. And I know that you are the authority on all police matters. I know there's been some discussion that bringing you back to the township would, in fact, be a magnet for pedophiles, would impact drive-by shootings of the police department, possibly impacting children at the memorial school. Because you are the expert and we trust everything that you say.
Sex offenders out there.
Ma'am, would you let her please
She's
finish?
concerned about sex offenders going to court. Could you please address that and give us your expert opinion of any potential impact?
Sure. I mean, I have no knowledge of any threats based on a police department that I would be concerned about moving that public safety building to this location out here. I know that we've seen a lot of interest in things like that recently, but I said I have no information, or I have no fear or worry about that. As far as the bringing different types of things like here, sex offender registrations. I mean, obviously the laws are set in place. People can come, they can register, they're going to leave. I don't think that that's going to be a zone or an area that's they're not going to be hanging out there. When they come in, they get registered. They're brought in by an officer or a detective. They get registered and they get sent on their way as far as that goes. To try to make it the most convenient for them, not only us, the police department. I don't feel that there's any concern or worries that bringing this police department back over here is going to affect the school or the rec center or any juvenile activity within this area.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes.
Now, this is just, I have more of a distance, you have to leave.
Your name, please?
Kathleen Dinan, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Nobody expects these kind of shootings. 80% of the violent incidents at schools in the last 15 years have been at middle schools and high schools. Moving you back here gets you farther away from the kids who may need the help immediately the most. Thank you. The grade school is not this little school over here. Is probably not a target. It's the kids in the middle schools and the high schools that are conducting these horrifying incidents. And we don't need you guys anywhere farther from them than you are.
No,
And I have more,
no.
that's for the council.
No, and I understand your concern for that. Like I said earlier, our officers are going to be out on the road no matter what. No matter what the location is, we have officers in the school currently right now. We have school security officers now in our schools. Yes, and they're armed. No, but we also have school security officers located in each school that are armed, private.
That's why I said one person, there's been several that are still trying to stop, that are on strike.
I understand that.
So where are you at?
Well, they're out on the road. They're responding to calls. They're available. We have people at the schools. We're not going to be able to stop every incident that's going to happen, but we're doing our best. We have officers, like I said, in each one of them zones. No matter if the police department stayed over in the airport complex or here, there's really no difference in that location. I mean, as far as where our officers are going to be able to respond to. They're out there on the road. They're out there doing their job, and they're out there protecting these children. Like I said, we have armed security officers in each one of these schools now where we never had that before. So,
Who are all these police that are at the other end of the station that you need to communicate with if they're not on the road?
who are all these other police?
Yeah, you said you have police that you can't
Okay.
communicate with because they're in the building at the other end.
Sure.
So they're not on the road.
Yeah, they're on the road. There's a briefings that they conduct every morning. A lot of times I try to get in there to talk to them, to give my perspective on different things. But a lot of times they're in there because there's paperwork that has to be done. They have to come in and do paperwork. But the sergeant's responsibility is to accommodate that zone with another officer when somebody gets pulled in for that matter. But there's a lot of interaction that goes on in that police department on a daily basis that I don't get to see just because I'm down the other end of the hall.
Have you seen the report that the county issued on Friday?
No, ma'am.
We're talking about questions for the,
That's that building after they took out.
All right, wait a minute, ma'am.
Miss,
No,
we're
bring it up
trying to
later.
do this in a
But
logical way.
Yeah.
These are questions revolving
Well, I just
safety.
thought since he was leaving, you might want to know.
If I may, Mayor,
Go ahead.
Chief, because you explained it well, but I don't think this young lady understands that these police officers are full-time in school. They're not coming and going from the patrols. And we have guys in plain clothes that are protecting our children in those schools. Those schools that you talked about, they're protected. The chief has drills, ongoing drills, to make sure that if there's any kind of an alert, that the police department and the educators respond appropriately. So we feel very safe and comfortable about that.
Who's Michael?
Okay.
Are you Michael?
I am.
Yeah.
Because I asked you that question on the phone months ago, and you said the reason you wanted to bring the police back was because there was this grade school here. Well, that's wonderful.
No, that's not the reason to bring it back.
You told me
No, I said,
That's an extra. Okay, Michael, you want to move on with Dan or somebody else here?
yeah,
Could I interject something real quick?
Go ahead, Eric.
The police station, I want to shed some light on things. The police station is actually in Lower Township now, so
Right.
we're not moving it back to Lower Township here. There's several neighborhoods in in Lower Township, but the police building, or the public safety building, is in Lower Township, so just
Well, I
wanted to
think
make that
most
clear.
of us know that,
Yeah, I know, I just,
you know. and-
some don't, some think Lower Township only
Is it for
exists in
the
one
chief?
area.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess.
Hi, my name's Melissa Roy, and I live in Irma. My question is, as a police officer and the chief of police who's overlooking the whole, police station and the police department, wouldn't it make the most sense to utilize our tax dollars and putting more police officers on the street as opposed to putting so much money into a building? I don't see why you can't correct the building, put a new roof, take care of the problems that you have there. You can upgrade it for half the cost that they're projecting for the new police department. I'd personally rather see more officers on the street. My husband's a retired police officer, and personally, I'd like to know somebody's got their back, and especially with the problems that we're having with the drugs.
Sure, I agree. And I'd say, honestly, I don't have a whole lot of say as far as what they put into that other building or how that goes. But I can assure you, I've been working with the township mayor and council on looking to hire more officers, without a doubt. I mean, I've got a commitment from them, and that's something that maybe they'll talk about here tonight. But
we will.
We're definitely looking for hiring more officers, and I agree with you. We definitely need more officers on the street. It'll improve our services, without a doubt.
We have 3 in the academy right now.
Okay. This is a question revolving placements for the chief, right? Okay.
Hey, Bill, how you doing? Rich Harrenvilles, retired.
Hi, Rich.
Retired warden from the county jail.
Right.
I did a quick study on your UCR reports for the township dating back to 1986. And what I saw was 10 years prior to the police station move, we had the highest crime rate ever in Lower Township, 10 years prior to that. 10 years after the move, the crime rate was at its all-time low. Now we're starting to see a spike in crime, I feel, arguably, because we're at the lowest point of manpower for the police department since 1990. We have 39 officers on the street because this council's decided to decrease the police staff to 39 officers.
All right. Let me respond when you're done. When you're done.
I would think as the police chief, he would be saying that's the most important
We
thing.
will discuss that, but the question.
I also agree. I was the OEM coordinator for 2 years here, and I will tell you that police station is non-workable. They absolutely need a new police station. I will support that. I don't support putting it here. Pedophiles do show up here for reporting. Parolees report here for reporting during court. We have over 100 people here every court day. Well over that when you had their support people here. I don't think we have the parking. And I believe, to be honest with you, bring criminals in this element of elementary schools, rec center, and the library where all these kids hang out, I think it's a terrible mistake. I think there's probably a better location. I don't know why we can't see if we can recoup that building in front of the property in front of the MUA that I think belongs to the Rotary right now. But I think there's better areas than this location,
Okay.
Bill.
I
appreciate what you go
appreciate it,
through
yep.
because you guys definitely need a better building.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We're at 42 right now. Now, let me say something about UCR reports too. A lot of that is tied in with demographics, and what you had is a lot of the criminal element. When there was a spike in the early 80s or 90s, and a lot of that, those people got older. If you sit back and look at it, they're no longer criminals. And you don't have that age grouping. It's like watching something inside of a snake going along, and the group of people that you would have sat back, and those are Part 1 crimes, UCR. They're your Part 1s as far as burglary, robbery. Bill, are you on that one?
Violent crimes, too.
Violent crimes. And I'm sorry, we're listen. We try not to yell out in here. I'd appreciate that. Just to try and keep it in that level. But we have, and we will talk in a few minutes about staffing. I look forward to that conversation. That being said, we have committed, we hit 40, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. It'll take me a few minutes to explain that, but the chief has to go. Does anybody have any further questions of the chief? This gentleman over here.
George Doherty, Seashore Road, Irma.
Right.
My main concern, Chief, is response time. Are we going to lose any response time? Because we're losing the building, the police station right down the street from me. Now it's going to be an extra 4 or 5 miles. Can you guarantee you'll have a car in our area constantly, so there's no there's no decrease in response time? That's my main concern.
Sure. What I was saying earlier is we always have cars out in each zone. We have, right now we run off 3 zones. We got the Village Zone 1, North Cape May 2, 3, Irma, and Diamond Beach area. We have an officer in them zones all the time.
That's my main concern. We don't lose
all the time.
response
It wouldn't affect the response time at all. And the sergeants are responsible enough to ensure that when somebody's brought in for one call because of some reason they have to take a walk-in complaint, that another officer covers that area during that time.
That's a major concern, because that building, your building, is pretty bad shape. I don't think you should have to stay there any longer either. So.
No, I appreciate it.
Right.
Yep.
And one additional factor, if you look at a lot of the towns like Avalon, Sea Isle, their schools are very, very close to the police station. So this is something I think that is a plus.
For 1 out of 5.
Go ahead.
6, actually.
Good evening, everyone. Ed Butler from the Village. I'd like to ask the chief a couple different questions. Is there a TV set up from each school into the police department?
Right now, yeah, we have cameras in I believe every one of the schools. I have to defer that to Lieutenant Beersback. Are all the schools on closed circuit? Yes.
So they're actually all covered that way besides your police officer?
Yes.
Is there a special group besides the police here that work in there as far as officers in the schools?
Yes, currently the school district had hired retired officers who are trained, educated in law enforcement, that are at each one of these schools on a daily basis. And what I can assure you is that usually if some one of them are off, we get a phone call, and Lieutenant Green, usually we fill that in by an officer. If somebody's off for some reason, we put somebody back in that school. There's always somebody in that school.
I would have no doubt that, because I've heard of this, and not only that, if any citizen was interested, they would put an open request in to find out exactly how many officers are, which are 42 right now on the list with a couple retiring, which there are 10 second class for the summertime, when there was 52 altogether. There's 3 in the academy right now?
Yes, there is.
So, we do have, and we are increasing the police force there. That's not an excuse for the building to put more on the street, because that's happening too. It's just a matter of time.
Like I said, I've been in touch with the mayor manager, and we're working on hiring additional officers early this next coming year.
All right, my other point with you to bring up on that, what other municipality that you're aware of that has a police station 2 miles away from its center of their township complex?
Off the top of my head, I really don't know of any. Most police departments are attached to their township complexes. Yeah, and there's a reason for that. I mean, it's consolidation of services. I mean, you're dealing with these people on a regular basis, daily basis, on trying to get things done. I mean, it makes it more convenient. It's definitely an asset to have it that way.
Well, not only that, this is the only municipality that has it within 2 miles away in Cape May County. Looked into it, and this is the only one.
Okay.
All the rest of them are right there in the complex. What's the difference with us here? Why is there so much animosity of moving that building when it's for the good and safety of all the people, not just for the schools, all the people? And that's my concern. So I thank you for your time.
I appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
And they're very knowledgeable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. You gotta go.
I guess we're going to ask any questions.
You got to go.
Absolutely.
A couple questions, Chief. So you said basically, regardless where the police station is, response time will be the same everywhere, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Also, in regards to what Mr. Butler just said, one of the problems with moving is here is you're not serving all the people because it's not as centrally located. It seems like we're only looking out for a quarter of this town instead of all 4 quarters of the town, but that's my opinion. Also, how many, how many officers do we have in the academy now?
We currently have 3 in the academy.
Right, and how many are retiring or on active duty?
We just had our last officer retire the other day, so we're down to, we currently have 42 officers counting the 3 in the academy.
Okay.
The 3 in the academy.
Thank you. Also, I know we had discussed this before. Were you ever offered any other options as to where the police department could be moved?
No.
Thank you. And my last question is, could you tell everyone the year the police building moved?
I'm sorry.
What year did the police building move to the airport?
I believe it was 95.
Okay, and Megan's Law was enacted in 1994. I just wanted to bring up that point. And last but not least, I think would you agree that if the police building was renovated and the Office of Emergency Management was there along with fire and rescue, wouldn't that be a one-stop shop as well for safety?
For public safety, it could be. I'm not sure it could accommodate all of them.
And do you think that moving it to back to this location, which obviously was a reason they moved in the first place due to space and such, do you think that will lower the crime rate in this part of town by moving the station itself?
I don't know if it'll necessarily lower the crime rate. No,
all right, thank you.
I don't know that.
That's all. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Now, I don't want to prolong, but I feel I'm going to have to ask you a few questions. Number one, and we've been down this road before, a building like a parked car is a deterrent. Okay, would you classify it as such in the sense that it not only deters and would make a certain area, I think, we went through this before, and it's the reason why you've been lately parking empty police cars at certain locations, because they are a deterrent. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I also feel that a big plus on this is the perception of safety, meaning that it will make people feel safer. It is not the geographical center of town. We've stressed that constantly. But what it is close to the population center, and it also is at the needs center, specifically. This is where it's needed. It's a waste of a building in the back of an airport. There's a reason why you can't find another town that has a similar situation. We're not smarter than all those other towns. I hate to tell you that. Okay? Let me make sure you understand that. This was not something that's in the Brainiac Digest. Moving your police station to the back of an airport certainly was not something that you would want to recommend. And I consider myself a professional police officer, as you. And let me make sure you understand that. And I did 25 years. I also have a master's degree in statistics, sociology, and an undergrad in criminal justice, and taught at the academy. And I taught community policing. This is what I taught. I went to the Kennedy School of Government and came back with this. And I'm telling you right now, community policing is exactly what this is, this move. Bringing the department's building back here to partner up with a community. Yes, it does have an impact. Do you still have officers in zones, regardless of where the building is? Absolutely. But how many of you saw all these kids out here when you drove in tonight? This is exactly one of the benefits to having officers come in to use the bathroom, leaving their zone, dropping off paperwork. They will be coming in and out of this area, and lend a sense of security here. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Go ahead. What are you saying? Are you saying you don't want the kids at the rec center?
Am I saying I don't want the kids at the rec center? No, I don't want them in the middle. I don't want them. Are you trying to start something and say that I don't want kids at the rec center, Councilman? That's a leading question, almost as if I'm trying to be anti-child or something. No,
I'm not saying that.
I said I don't like them in the middle of the street, which is where they were when I put them.
You're absolutely correct.
You're absolutely
I don't like
correct.
bullying either, too. Okay. Well, no, I'm responding to a question. Okay, so, Chief, thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Okay, Dan, take her away.
This work? Good evening, everyone. My name is Dan Shasky. I'm a principal in the architectural firm of Oliver Shasky and Kiss. And I'm also a longtime resident of Lower Township. I've been living here since 1976. And in 2011, the mayor and council formed a committee of citizens to look at the public safety building. Mr. Simonson had appointed me to that committee, and I worked with Eric and the rest of the members looking at the public safety building. I mean, I think enough has been said about the condition and so forth, the location. I'm not an expert in policing. My expertise is in building buildings, and that's where I came into the picture. I can't say, understand that building is 75 years old now. We've spent a lot of money in that building, and from our standpoint, the way that we have to look at things, we have to look at building codes and make sure that building meets the state laws of New Jersey in terms of what code requirements are required to be implemented there. When that building was renovated to accommodate the police relocation, that originally was built during World War II. It was a factory building. The state of New Jersey specifically states that when you change the occupancy of a building, which that went from a factory industrial use to a police station, court facility, etc., the building has to be brought up to code. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Doesn't matter if it's been there for 30, 40 years, it's withstood hurricane storms. That doesn't have any meaning in the code. Code doesn't say that. The code says you have to meet these requirements in order to operate, and when it's a police station or emergency facility, it has to meet the essential building codes, part of the IBC code, which governs our construction in New Jersey. That building doesn't meet that code, period, because that building was designed before there was any codes in place, modern-day codes. And essential buildings require certain things. One of the things they require, it's in my report, there's an added value to the way the structure has to be designed. It has to be able to operate in, a catastrophe where you might have a hurricane, whatever type of storm. So there's added loads that have to be put in place in the design of the structure to withstand that. We can't tell how that building was designed structurally. The report that was issued Friday pretty much confirms that. And it says that. That's what it says in that report. We'd have to look at, you'd have to get in there and try to figure out the building was built in 3 different parts. We can't tell what the foundation design is there. And one of the most critical parts of the essential building code is the resistance to lateral forces, earthquakes, other types of wind loading. Now, the building's been around forever. It's obviously it's been beat up because of the amount of time it's been, in use. But, that from our standpoint, we have to look at that and, let the township know that that's a problem. And the county understands that as well. So that building really should have never been occupied to begin with. Because there's, to our best of our knowledge, with everything that we've looked at over the period of time from 2011 to now, there was no any type of engineering investigation done that would, determine what type of foundations were in that building, how the structure was designed, how the structure was put together, how was it anchored to the foundations, and can it resist all the forces that are described and outlined in that building code. You can't take bits and pieces of the building code and apply it to a building and say the rest of it's okay. It doesn't work that way. It either is or it isn't. So the bottom line is, where do we spend our money at? You go back and we would spend millions of dollars on that building. I can guarantee you that, to upgrade that. And the county's probably going to, if they can prove that it is an essential building in some manner, which I doubt they can do, they're going to spend money to upgrade that facility. So where is it best spent? Do you want to spend it in a building we've already put millions of dollars into, going to put millions of dollars more into it, and you're still going to have a building at 75 years old. It's not energy efficient. We couldn't tell what type of HVAC system's in there, what type of ductwork, whether the ductwork in the system meets the air quality codes. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And from my perspective, and you know, our recommendations to the council was, you know, and from the committee's unanimous decision was to move here to the villas. Now, it was an advisory committee. It wasn't anything that the council could either, you know, say yes or no or whatever, but I think, you know, it makes sense to move out of that building. And as Eric said, we didn't look at other sites. That was never considered. Well, one thing was considered is that we own the property here, but the township was wise enough to purchase the Manzoni property for a good price, which gives us more land to work with. If we were to go out and look at another site, build a building that would have to include the court facility, because you can't separate the two, you know, you'd be looking at spending more money than what we anticipate spending here at the villas, I believe. That's from my perspective. You know, my concern here is what's best for the township and what's going to work best for us in the long run. The building we're going to build is going to be energy efficient. We're going to incorporate at some point solar energy. We were talked initially about using geothermal energy. That just doesn't work right in this area, unfortunately. I've worked on this for 3 years now with the police and coming up with the best, I think, a good layout that works. And the same thing with the court facility. And we feel that we can build the building for in a range of around $3.5 million. That's a little over $200 a square foot for the size building we're talking about. And believe me, I've been contacted by other communities asking me, how come you're spending $200 a square foot when we're spending $600 and $800 a square foot? Well, I can't answer that other than I know what I know. And I know that we can put a simple building there that works well for the police, is going to serve our community well for, you know, quite a few years to come. And that's really where we're at today.
Chief, you can go if you, I mean, I'm not going to hold you up.
Yeah, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Showski?
I think
Do you have a question, ma'am?
Yes, I wanted to I have lots of questions.
All right.
You did read the report that Anne Marie
Yes, I did.
issued? Okay. And she's the director of facilities for the county.
That's correct.
And she has said that the building is structurally sound.
No, I shouldn't say that.
Page 7 of...
It doesn't.
Excuse me, if you can't
does
read,
not-
page 7 says
I
it's
can read.
structurally sound. It is my professional opinion that the building is currently in satisfactory structural condition and can be reasonably retrofitted to serve the county. Excuse me, I was not done.
No, it doesn't meet the requirements
needs.
of essential facilities. And it
Now,
says that in there. It says that
They're
in the
going
report.
to retrofit. They're going to rip out all of those things you're concerned about. Heating and air conditioning, vents in the ceiling. They're going to get rid of the materials that cost all this mold and build a decent building. And the police will only have to fill half of that building, because you can't tell me you really think the county's going to fit in the Office of Emergency Management in a building that they don't think fits code? Of course it's going to fit code when they're finished. And it'll only cost us 50%. And an ongoing basis for utilities, for all the other costs, it costs us 50%.
50% of what?
Whatever the costs are, instead of 100%. If you pay $99 for electricity, we're only going to pay half of that.
Let me ask you a question, okay?
Excuse me, I'm not finished, all right?
Mrs.
And in terms of safety,
Mrs. Dinan, can
I
you
don't
please-
live in one of those 3 areas, but I do live in Lower, and I don't think you should move further away from me. I don't like that at all. So anyway, all I'm saying is read it, and I've asked Art Hall at the Herald to do a study.
Thank you.
Oh, no, you're not bullying? You're bullying.
You
are a bully.
I will, no. Thank you for your comment.
You know,
who would like to talk now? Next up.
Can I just say one thing? Think of
Go
it
ahead.
this way. Think of it this way, that building's 48,000 square foot in area. That's what the size of that building is, okay?
4,000 for OEM and
Okay.
24,000 for the police department.
If you were to spend $100 a square foot, which is not unreasonable to renovate a building like that,
She looked at what that, she's made
Um,
recommendations, would you like to know what they are?
doesn't say anything about cost in
Oh,
there.
I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you what Emery recommends.
She recommends that we develop a conceptual plan of the proposed building usage, that would be for the two departments, and evaluate existing structural systems by field inspection and analysis. She's not talking out of her hat, she's talking about doing real things. Determine preliminary structural retrofit areas, then estimate preliminary budget cost. Then, based on the proposed usage and structural retrofit, evaluate New Jersey rehab subcode requirements and determine code requirement upgrades. She's not a fool. Anne Marie's been doing this a long time. Then she wants to refine the budget cost based on code required upgrades and structural retrofits. Then finalize the design and develop the construction documents. Oh, she said, Madame Marie is basically saying, let's do it from ground one and do it right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, Mrs. Dinan, Mrs. Dinan, Mrs. Dinan, does anybody else wish to address? Can you come up, ma'am? And go ahead, Dan, while you're talking.
Yeah, look at that, from the amount of money that's going to be spent before you ask a question, ma'am.
Hello.
Just hold on a second
Hold
till
on,
he answers something here. Go ahead.
If you look at a building, it's 48,000 square feet in area. You're going to spend probably somewhere around $100 a square foot to renovate that building. I'm talking to everyone. How much does that come out to be? No, it's going to be that number. And I want to go back to one thing I said before. Irregardless, and I think that report's pretty much saying the same thing that we're saying, is that right now, that building doesn't meet the code requirements for an essential building. It doesn't. I'm sorry, you could, go ahead.
Mrs. Dinan, please, Mrs. Dinan, you have to stay under control when you're in the seat there. He's talking, somebody else is at the microphone. You're not holding court here. No, he's not. He's talking to the people out there. Go ahead, Dan. Continue, please. We'll be here all night.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Marlene Gimbel, and I grew up in the Villas and Philadelphia. I live in Philadelphia right now, and I thank everybody for the opportunity of me coming to one of your meetings, because I live in the 15th district, which is the biggest district in Philadelphia.
No.
I have people, they overdose from heroin 2 cars away from my house. We work together with the police, and I go to the town watch meetings, and as a parent and a former assistant teacher at the schools, I always bring up to the people that I personally saw when the children bring the problems. Children have problems at school, they bring them home, and it affects the family. And when children have problems at home, they take it to school, and it affects them. So, our children are the future criminals, so we have to have responsibility and teach them respect and empathy and mediation in school, how to get along with others.
Thank you.
That's what I wanted to say.
That's fine. Thank you. We appreciate that. Somebody else wish to speak? There's a hand here and then a lady in the back.
Hi, good evening, Jackie Henderson, Mickles Run. I have a question regarding the cost per square foot. You said it's you estimate about $200.
It's $3.5 million for the total for the building.
Okay, which would come down to about $200 a square foot.
220 square foot something.
Okay, just out of curiosity, where did you get that number? Only because I know Sea Isle is building a new municipal complex. I think their cost is probably close to $400 a square foot.
It is.
I am a member of the Library Commission, and we are renovating the library over in Wildwood Crest, and also building a library in Stone Harbor. We estimate that the cost per square foot for a library that will be 9,800 square feet is probably going to be over $350 per square foot to build. Plus, you can have every intention of $200 a square foot. What happens when you put it out to bid? And you can't get it for that price.
Can I answer your question? Number one, there's many different ways of designing a building. I've been doing this my whole life. I'm 64 years old. I've been working since I was 16 years old. So I've been through all the different permutations of building, design, and cost. When we started this, Mike Vole and the mayor and the council, they wanted to know how much we were going to spend on this building. We designed a building that's not like your library in Wildwood Crest or some of these other facilities that are expensive buildings. You can design buildings that are $200 a square foot. You can design buildings that are $500 a square foot. It's all a matter of how you approach something. That's what it is. We did an extensive cost estimate. We just didn't pull these numbers out of the air.
I understand.
We did line item cost estimates. We worked with a couple of contractors to get numbers. We went out to suppliers and manufacturers to get cost on the various parts. This building, unlike some of the ones that I've seen, isn't going to have stone floors in it and, golden toilet fixtures. This is going to be a simple, very simple building. It's going to have vinyl tile on the floor. It's going to have painted gypsum wallboard walls, acoustical tile ceilings, simple HVAC system. The most expensive part of this building is the metal roof. And the reason we put a metal roof on is we didn't want to have a flat roof on the building to avoid the problems that are inherent in flat roofs.
Okay.
So we know that number is a good number. It's not something we guessed at. We have a complete breakdown of these numbers. Different architects design different buildings. And I know there's police stations that we've been contacted by in other parts of the state that are getting up to $600, $800 a square foot. When you look at the drawings, I can see why.
Yeah. But I guess the question being when...
And it is, the number you won't know the exact number until it goes out to bids, but the best of our knowledge, we're coming in at around $3.5 million plus site work. I mean, there's other extras to that brings it up to about $4 million. There's site work, there's furnishing and equipment, there's an emergency generator has to be put in the building, and, security systems, so forth and so on.
Okay, yeah, that's understandable. I guess just that when it goes out to the bid process, if it can't be built for that amount of money, then a decision will have to be made by council. Do you spend more or do you modify the building?
I don't think we're going to have a problem with the price. I mean, this isn't the first building I've done.
Oh, I understand, but at the same time, too, I know the cost of bids have gone up.
I am a township resident. I don't want my taxes going up.
Same here. Same here. Well, I just had a question about the square footage. I wish...
You should come to us. We'll show you how to design your building so you can build it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that lady in the back had her hand up.
Nancy Ems, North Cape May.
Right.
First of all, I happen to know, just off the top of my head, that a cost of a residential building is between 150 and 175 square feet, so 150 and $175 per square foot, and that's just residential construction. If you talk to a mortgage officer, they'll tell you that it can be done for $150 a square foot. So I would think that 200 is a little bit low for a municipal building.
All I can tell you is we did a cost estimate.
Okay, I would invite you to recheck the numbers.
A house is a different thing.
Okay. Second thing, there's no doubt that the police station is in bad shape. I don't doubt that. The police officers here do a fine job with what they have. The building is in bad shape, and something needs to be done about it. I agree with that. However, I just sat here and I heard Chief Mastriani say that the building will not necessarily make Lower Township safer. And then I heard Mayor Beck say that the perception of safety is actually more important than safety itself.
You want me to respond to that?
No, please don't.
Okay.
This is public comment, right?
Well,
public questions?
Is it a question or a statement?
It's a statement, because I heard you say that.
Go ahead.
Did anybody else hear them say that? Yes. I heard you say the perception of public safety was more important than the safety. Perception of safety.
I don't remember saying that, but it is an important.
Okay, well,
it is an important part of safety, the perception. And I'll explain that in a minute.
You said the perception of safety was more important than actual safety. Okay, so my question is, do buildings keep people safe, or do people keep people safe? Do school buildings teach students, or do teachers teach students with the support of...
This is questions for Mr. Showski. Look, we're going to have at the end, you can come up and ask the questions that you wish. But we want to get...
So my other question is, has the actual cost of sharing with the county been explored totally? The cost of sharing the building with the county. And we've talked about that a lot. I also want to know if the actual building, if it's been thought about for a 5-year or a 10-year plan, if there's been thought about what will happen if they bring central dispatch over. Is there enough room for expansion to bring over all of central dispatch? I know that's been kicked around a lot.
There's a room that's in the build that's been included in the design of the building. If central dispatch is located here, we can accommodate it, yes.
Where?
It's in the building.
For all, like if they consolidate a county dispatch?
No, it's not a county-wide dispatch.
So if that were mandated by our governor, who was calling for dissolving shadow governments, I think I keep hearing?
I don't think there's any, I mean, I haven't been part of any discussions that said county dispatch was going to be located.
No, there's room, ma'am, there's room in the new building, if for some reason, if the freeholders decide they're not going to go through with county dispatch, and we have to move our current dispatch over here. There's room in this building.
In this new building that they're proposing?
Yes, ma'am.
For a county dispatch?
No, we don't do the county. That's the county job. We take care of Lower Township.
Because there's been talk by the governor about moving counties.
And the governor's right to get rid of shadow government, and you're very familiar with that.
Yes. And there's room for county dispatch to be moved and consolidated?
Not in our building. That's the county's issue.
So this hasn't been explored?
You're missing my point. I think your question is, if the county doesn't go through with central dispatch,
okay, but what
did we make room in the new building if we have to bring our Lower Township police dispatchers over here?
Okay,
yes, we have.
But what if we do go through with county dispatch?
If we go through county dispatch, it's going to save all the county residents and the Lower Township taxpayers money. If they could make a decision.
Explored.
Pardon me?
So it hasn't been explored?
The freeholders are exploring it. We're waiting to hear from the freeholders.
So we don't know the answers?
If the freeholders haven't given us an answer, you're right. We don't know the answer.
Okay. And I would also like to know what the real total cost of it, with all the little bits and pieces of everything being put together.
You mean
With the acquisition of the land, with the architectural feel, not just the moving, with the redecorating, with everything that's going to happen. What is the real cost?
All in, the building, we're projecting at 3.5. The site work, Vince can talk about that, but it's probably around $300,000 for site work. You got furniture, equipment, emergency generator. It's going to bring the total up to around $4 million.
Okay, and that's going to be paid for by all bonding?
As I said, and I'll say it one last time so you can hear it, there'll be no tax increase. It'll be bonded, and we can bond $4 million with no tax increase, and this township is in such good, healthy financial condition, they could bond up to $29 million next year without a tax increase.
Okay, so I'm also hearing Chief Mastriani say that the 42 officers includes the 3 in the academy, and includes the 3 in the academy.
That's correct.
Okay, so we don't currently have 42 officers.
We have 42 on the payroll, and I'll be asking council, I think the council will touch on it later, to include more in the 2015 budget.
Okay, and we
So
have
we have
10
another
class
class, we have another academy starting in February. My plan is to ask council to authorize more officers.
Because if we wanted to keep the township safe today, we could be putting more officers on the street.
That's
and
exactly
not
what
have
we're
an
doing.
illusion of keeping people safe.
Right.
We would actually be keeping people safe and supporting the officers right now. Because I know that these officers responding to calls in Class 2s cannot act as full certified officers, so they don't have the backup and the help that they need when they respond to a call.
We have...
Excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm not talking when everybody else is talking.
She's right. Let the young lady, Miss Ems, let Miss Ems talk.
Can you get your...
Ma'am, let me just respond, Mrs. Ems.
Yes.
That we do have the 3 in the academy. I'm going to ask council next week to support more police officers in the February class. I can assure you, and we have the staff in the back, the captain and lieutenants back there, they can tell you, we have a safe community. We have good police officers. We have well-trained officers.
Yes, we
and we're
do.
going to continue to give them more officers as long as the taxpayers can afford it. Let me just remind you, when you increase police, you may have to raise taxes. When you build a new police station, you won't have to raise taxes.
But increasing police will keep the people safe, and that's what can be done quickly to make people safe, and not just give them the perception of feeling safe.
We're doing the best we can. Thank you.
This gentleman behind you hasn't been up yet.
Thank you, Ms. Ems.
Thank you. All right, excuse me, please.
Ladies.
Excuse me, can we continue our meeting here? Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, Bill Greenfield, Villas. Mr. Shasky, is the current police building sprinklered?
I believe the vehicle storage building.
Yeah, just where the vehicles are in the.
Yes, we have to heat it.
Right.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the pipes will
That's
freeze.
a significant cost that, and under the codes, that would have to be sprinklered now, if it was renovated, right?
Sprinkler. Probably, maybe because of the area,
Sprinkler.
maybe. The new codes don't, this building, the new police station here, doesn't have to be sprinkled, not required to be sprinkled.
Now, I read somewhere that there's like 17 different air conditioning units or something like that on the roof of the...
You know, the building was developed over a period of time, and things were added as the need arose.
Just the cost of maintaining, unless you tear them all out, put another air handler in, that's a pretty significant cost.
It all gets down to where the township feels it's the best way to spend our money.
All right,
You know what I mean?
final question is, if this comes in at $400 a square foot instead of $200, and we always have the option of saying, no, we're not going to take that, let's see what the cost is to go with the county.
Just throw it out and we can rebid it.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. A lady there that wanted to come up again.
Mrs. Roy.
Hi, Melissa Roy again. My question is, how many police departments has your firm or yourself designed in the past?
We worked on a number of core facilities, the Stone Harbor Police Department, we're working on a plan for that right now. Glassboro Municipal Building. In the course of my career, we've done state police buildings in Pennsylvania, numerous police facilities in New Jersey over a period of time.
Thank you. My concern is, I just put a large addition on my home, and I had an architect, and it was designed, and it actually was projected, my cost projection, and it ended up costing me actually double.
Ma'am, all I can tell you is I've been doing buildings. We just did a building last year, 2 years ago for Stone Harbor, the recreation building. And they had a limited budget. I think it was a little over $1 million, $1.6 million. We told them we can design that building for $1.6 million. That's what it came in at. We did the renovations to the Borough of Stone Harbor and North Wildwood's core facilities. When we design a building, we just don't come up with numbers that we pull out of the air. We go through and do an analysis of cost. We work with contractors. We don't go to a book and look up numbers. We get real numbers, real-time numbers. But I mean, I'm confident that, you know, we're going to be in that range. And that's the best I can tell you. We didn't design this building in a manner in which, like I said, that there's expensive materials in there. You know, it's the structure's very simple, and in my experience, that's one of the keys to making a building inexpensive is how you approach, you know, certain things, like the building structure, the building exterior, the type of HVAC system. It's going to have everything's going to be simple. There's no expensive control system to operate the HVAC.
I know you said that residential properties are different than commercial, obviously.
Everything's different.
But I didn't even have the HVC in my addition, and I paid pretty darn close to $200, or at least $150 a square foot in my home.
It's comparing apples to
Can't
oranges.
imagine a commercial
It's
property.
comparing apples to oranges.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay. Go ahead, George.
George Dougherty, Seashore Road.
Sir, you mentioned that you had some contractors you conferred with, and they agreed that the 3.8 is a pretty good number. Some general contractors agreed with you when they saw the plans. Who were they? Just out of curiosity.
We work. When I say work with we work with various general contractors to get numbers on bits and pieces of things, concrete, steel. We went to the suppliers for windows. We went to the metal roofing manufacturer to get numbers on the roof.
Okay, so no general contractor actually came up and looked
No,
at the
well,
plans and said, you know what, 3.8 I can do it for. So not at this point. You haven't had anybody, a solid general contractor agreeing with that price.
We've met with different contractors to review the numbers to see if we're in a ballpark.
Okay, and
Yes.
who are they? You can't tell?
I don't really want to say who they are because they might be bidding on a project and.
Okay.
No.
That's why I just want to make sure if they agreed to them before and then they come up higher.
They were, I think.
Reputable general contractors in this
People who
area.
would bid on this building.
Okay. I just want to make sure, too, if we do get, people from this area would be,
We would like to get somebody local to build the building. It's a publicly bid project, so.
Yeah, you can't promise that, but just if we can.
Hopefully we will.
So, okay, thanks.
Okay, this gentleman here with the red cap.
AJ Ernst, Tabernacle Road.
Right.
I'm not sure I understand how bond money works. Does that eventually have to be paid back, or that's free, or?
With interest.
I'm curious. I'm dead honest. I'd like to know how that works.
Well, of course, it's, every year we make bond payments, and a lot of the debt of the bonding has been taken care of. So I guess try to give a general, if you have a car right now, and it's an old car, and you're paying $350 a month, say, payments, and your payments are finally done, and you want to get a new car, and you get a new car for $350 a month, you're going to want to go with the new car, right? Well, that's how if you pay a debt off, and you want to stay the payment the same, do you know what I'm saying? I mean, do you understand the bond?
But then if I don't buy a new car, I don't have that payment.
AJ, can I explain something?
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
One of the things that bonding does that a family doesn't do is that with bonding, it shares the cost of something for people through the years, meaning that somebody who would use the police station 23, 24 years from now will be paying their fair share for that building. It's like a road. If we paid cash for things and we went out and just paid cash for roads and then you moved a year from now, well, you bought the guy that moves into your house a road. So we get a bond that lasts 25 years. The analogy really was a situation where if you budget in your family a certain amount of money, maybe 10% for a line of equity that you pay every month, and you use that to repair your home, as one project expires and goes offline, you fix the bathroom, and that took 5 years of payment every month. Now you go back and say, well, let's redo the rec room. So you basically keep that on a level keel. So it does not interfere with your taxing. Whether we bond to repair the building or bond to build a new one, it's still the same principle. Okay, it's still making sure that through the life of a project, if you build a school, you want people who put their children in, the residents, to pay for that school 25 years from now. It would not be fair to charge the residents cash at that moment to pay for it. You make sure, one of the things with money and the township is, and the real shame is, we're going at it here and trying to decide whether or not to put the building here or to reinvest over there. I wish we had a time machine. I mean, they really, we would be sitting here discussing, had they done this the right way 25 years ago and put an addition on here, we would be doing a $1 million bond ordinance or something to redo what has already been done, to fix it up. But to put money back into this would be to perpetuate a mistake that was made years ago. Okay, thank you. Somebody else has, I see a gentleman on the side over here. I see a hand waving. My eyes don't go that far anymore.
This is for the architect.
Okay.
Jack Porter, Villas, Green Creek, dual properties. What was your company's name again?
OSK Design Park.
Very good. So you said earlier in the statement that you don't know what kind of HVAC systems at
Yes,
the
we
building?
do know. Oh, yeah, it's
You
all
said
been
you didn't.
designed.
It was for the public safety
For a
building.
public safety building.
Yeah.
Not for the new building that
Not
we're
for the new
designing.
building.
No, I'm sure you know what the new building is, but if I contacted your company to do an addition to existing systems, and you told me.
No, I didn't say that.
You
I said,
said.
I know what the HVAC system are, rooftop units. We don't know what the ductwork is.
So you can't take a room and do cubic volume? I play with dirt. You can't do cubic volume and figure out, is it cold or hot?
I didn't.
Tonnage?
You're
flow,
misunderstanding.
all this is
You're
comfortable?
misunderstanding what
No,
I'm
no,
saying.
you told the public that you don't know what kind of systems there are. You guys have to get your stuff straight if you're going to be designing on this
Listen,
building.
let me tell you something, okay? I was part of that committee for that building. Where were you at when the committee was formed? If you know
Uncovering
so
a lot
much.
of corruption, because apparently politics, they do and take
We
whatever
looked
they
at
want
the
anyway.
building. We couldn't get it. We didn't want to start taking the ceilings and all apart to see what the ductwork was like. That's what I'm talking about. You don't understand.
Oh, I do understand.
No, you don't understand.
What you said to the public.
I didn't say. Don't put words in my mouth. I said we don't know.
We'll find out. On
We
YouTube.
don't know what the HVAC
Thank you.
system is in the building.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Does somebody else had their hand up for the architect? Gentleman straight in the back here.
Glenn Douglas, North Cape May.
Excuse me, stay with us, gang.
What I did hear through these conversations and the architect's information is this has been studied for quite a while now by this group, by different departments or architects. The lady brought up the county person. I met that county person. I believe that person is a new architect. I don't even know if she is an architect, but I didn't hear the credentials even announced with that report. I don't know how it's taken such a long study, along with our committee that was involved there, along with the professionals that have studied this, how the county could have come up with such a quick response to say, they can do it differently. It just doesn't make any sense that quick, especially if that's a new architect. If her credentials, or if she is not an architect, I'm not sure, positive. I did speak to her personally because in my field, when I was working with the state, I met with her, and she was just given a lot of them new responsibilities at the county. And I granted, she has done a lot for the county, and I will give her that respect. But I just don't understand how a report can come so quickly saying that, they can do a lot of different things. It has been brought up, the building is not of code. It was brought up, I believe, in that report that it has to be brought up to code. So we're also talking additional expenses on top of whatever, they have basically come across with a number. So I'm picking up pieces from different views, but I really feel that we've had the professionals working on this. The professionals have given their advice. Our committee has given the advice to council. And with all due respect, I feel we need to move forward on moving this police station.
Thank you. Okay, is there any other questions for the architect?
Well, I'd like to clarify something, first of all. Anne Marie McMahon did not do all the studies. They had a structural engineer from the Bridge Commission that also did a thorough investigation. It has also been, I believe it says here, it started on 7/15, so that's over a 4-month period now that the study has gone on. So just wanted to clarify that and make that, And Mr. Shasky, are you a structural engineer or an architect?
No, I'm architect.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, you want to take it?
Well, I'm dumbfounded. I mean, we work so hard to try to provide what's best for our police. My son's a police officer. I sure would want him working in that building. Just what we know. There's so many unknowns, health hazards here that I just can't share with you. It's a sick building. It won't cost you any more money. I can't understand how anybody could be opposed. Just 20 years ago, back there, council in 1994 authorized this VHE group that went through the whole study of that building, and that's in 1994. And the conclusion of that was, we do, however, believe that its citizens will be well served by returning the police to the township complex. Now, this is 20 years ago. They're saying the same thing we're saying tonight. Create an environmentally centrally zoned services with only public works in another area of the community. The key to the future of this issue is visionary leadership, commitment to future for the residents of Lower Township, and determination. Eric's right, the county did a report. I received it Friday. There's so many unknowns. There's some inaccuracies. Nobody's talking about what it's going to cost. They want to put emergency management possibly in there, which is an important entity in an emergency. They want to put central dispatch in there. They want to share the building. What are they going to leave for the police department? How much of that building are they going to leave? I, myself, would never want to imprison our police officers in there for another 25 years by keeping them there. They don't belong there. I'm not looking for applause. I'm just trying to do what's best for the people of this community and best for these police officers that serve you. It would be an injustice to not get them out of there. It would be an injustice to keep wasting taxpayers' money, be like flushing good cash dollars down a toilet. The sooner you get them out of there, the better off the police and everybody will be.
Okay. I think that at this point we'll open it up if anybody wishes to address council with any kind of an opinion on this. I see Fred Long.
My name is Fred Long, Cold Spring. I'd like to speak in support of Resolution 2014-260. This resolution is good for public safety. It's good for public welfare. This resolution will save the taxpayers from unwise capital expenditures. The right thing to do is to pass this resolution, and I urge you to make that vote unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Dyer.
Oh, it's okay, guys.
Hi, Kathleen Dinan. My comment is just one, and I'm really not being a wise guy.
Okay.
There is no way to guarantee taxes won't go up, as there is no way to guarantee the cost of a building tilts up. George Herbert Bush said, "Read my lips, no new taxes." Taxes went up, he didn't get elected.
Thank you.
The current president said, if you like your health insurance, nobody can take it away. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. And his third great lie, there'll be no boots on the ground. There are no guarantees in life. That's all I have to say, except you're rushing it. The county has 4 steps they want to go through to make sure they understand exactly what needs to be done in that building, what it's going to cost, lay out who's going to be where, and what's the rush. It won't take that long for them to do that. For you to vote now.
Excuse me. Quiet down. Go ahead, Mrs. Dinan.
Thank you. For you to vote now, when you don't know if you could get something better, is ludicrous.
Thank you. All right, somebody else wish this gentleman here in the front?
I'm addressing council. Johnny Walker, 116 West Pacific Avenue, Villas. Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, ladies and gentlemen. At the council meeting on August 4th, no less than 10 people spoke in support of the return of the police station to the township complex. At the August 18th meeting, a township resident in support of the move suggested a petition drive on the same issue. Having listened to that, and being a strong supporter of the effort myself, I decided to test the market. I went out in the neighborhood to see for myself what the residents of Lower Township, especially the Villas area, felt about the return of the police station to Town Hall. I did this simply to see what I believed was correct, and it was. And I say this in the strongest possible terms. I was supported by numerous business leaders on Bayshore Road who allowed me to place petitions in their stores. I also was helped by a number of people who carried petition door to door. It was an easy sell, and I was happily surprised by the number of people who were aware of the issue and felt strongly as I did. One store owner related how only one person objected to sign the petition. He stated that I'm not signing, and the store owner asked why. He said, I just got out of prison. With little effort, we collected well over 500 signatures. Very few people said no. I believe there is an overwhelming support for the return of the police station to Town Hall. All agreed it would increase their safety and felt secured knowing where the police station would be. The old-timers all stated that they never could understand why it was even moved in the first place. Make no mistake, if I had received the opposite reading and people did not want it back, I would not be standing here. The petition carries no obligation on the part of council. It is simply a reading of how we feel and what we want. Gentlemen, the ball's in your court.
Somebody else? That gentleman in the back?
Jesse Matzinger, 104 Mill Drive, North Cape May. Moving the police station, what are we going to do with our ambulance and our fire department that's over there, our inspection?
Yeah, earlier tonight I alluded to that the county had an interest to move their emergency management services in that building and to possibly put the central dispatch also in that building. And I said I will work with Mike Laffey, my counterpart at the county, he's the chief operating officer there, to make sure that, and I would request that they keep the rescue squad there and the Office of Fire Safety in that building. Because they're important parts to this community, and we have an obligation to look out for their interest.
My father is an elderly man with Parkinson's disease, and he does take that ambulance ride quite often. So I just would like to have a spot for those two facilities.
Absolutely. As you know, I pushed and council supported getting the Medic 8 unit located right there at Irma Fire Company. And that's been a real asset to especially the older citizens in our community.
Okay, thank you.
Somebody else in the back over here? This gentleman? No, well, both of you come up. One can take turns. Yeah, I'm starting to hear more noise than I normally do back there, and it's hard to determine how much it really is back there, but I can tell that it's aggravating people. I really wish that we would just try to keep it down and cooperate. Everybody has the right to say what they want to, but everybody also has the right to hear them. So please cooperate. Thank you, Jack.
Jack Sparks, North Cape May. You can blame some of this on me. 40 years ago when I was mayor, I brought the Township Police Department here instead of over where the dumping station is now. And we did that for a reason, that was the center of the activity. We didn't do it just by chance. We could have built it right there. We could have built it anywhere. The mistake that I made was I couldn't look 40 years into the future. And I kind of apologize for that, because if I would have, it would have been a second-story building or a building that could house the police today, and this wouldn't even be on the agenda tonight. Saying that, I always thought that when they moved it back to the airport, if my memory serves me right, it was going to cost about $100,000 to do that. And certainly escalated from $100,000 over the few years to about $4 million. So that wasn't so smart after all, doing that. It was kind of a dumb move, I think. And now we have an opportunity after many years of this situation, 4 or 5 years talking about it, maybe longer than that. Why, here's a chance to bring it back. It's one of the most important things that the township ever could do. You're going to have a new building for the next 25 or 30 years, and people aren't going to have a concern about that. If you start messing with that airport property, it's going to be a year or 2-year deal every time. You know, it's been fixed and fixed and fixed again. Now my understanding is that the roof's okay. That's the last message that I got. And I mean, I don't know who's saying that the roof is safe, but go up there and look at it someday. It's I don't think people should be allowed up there. It might fall in. It's an old building. It's had its use. It's not used. It's got 18 toilets in it. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You know, the maintenance on that thing, $10,000 a month utility bill. That's ridiculous. It doesn't have to be today. I mean, it's time for an old building to come down, and if they want, a county wants to repair it themselves, let them repair it, I guess. I wouldn't think, I think they'd be better off tearing it down and building a new one. I mean, how long do they think these buildings are going to last? 100 years, 150 years? How long? I mean, here you have an opportunity when the bond rates are the lowest in history. In the history of the country, they're not any lower than what they are now. You can borrow money and therefore save money for the taxpayers over a 25-year period. It's an ideal time to do it. And today's the day, and I hope you pass the thing. Thank you.
David Brand, Irma. The engineer did a good job in giving us an estimate. That's just what it is, an estimate. You guys are in charge. If the estimate comes in higher than what it's estimated at, we have the right to say no, we're not going to do it.
That's correct.
That's the first point. The second point is, in this economy, the majority of construction projects come in under engineers' estimates because the contractors need the work and they sharpen the pencil. It doesn't cost us anything to take a look at this.
Yes, I agree. And it's perfect. It's also the perfect time for bonding. Okay, does anybody else wish to address council? People that haven't spoken, you both have, so you can both come back up. Nobody else has their hand up.
Again, I'm here to support the police department. They do a great job. Not here to say they don't deserve a better building, because they absolutely do. I've been in the place. A couple questions I have, though, is like, what really bothers me as a citizen here is like, we're talking about this building, but none of the facts of the type of structure of building. Is it going to withstand hurricane force winds of a Category 5 storm, 1, 2? I'm looking at the OEM perspective of things, and I just don't understand why we're talking about such a building and none of those facts are given to the citizens so we can talk intelligently about what's going on. The other thing that bothers me is, I know I've seen the plans before. There was no room for emergency management in this building. I don't know if that's changed or not. I have a big problem with that. We shouldn't have to share, during the course of an emergency, a building with the police department while they're trying to do their job. You know, sometimes we bring volunteers in, they get annoyed with the volunteers because sometimes the volunteers aren't very professional in the way they conduct themselves. But not to have an OEM space, that's not taking us into the 21st century. We're back to 1990. That should be a public safety building that houses both the fire official, Fire Safety Bureau, and emergency management. The Fire Bureau Safety Building, the people that are down there are paid by taxpayers. That is a taxpayer function. if the county decides, we decide to move, you're going to build your building, fine. Now the county doesn't take over that building. Where are those people going to go? EMS is a private entity. Fire service is a public entity. They are a taxpayer-provided service. If you fail to include them in the public safety portion of the building, and they are forced to move, your fire taxes are going up. I can guarantee. I'm a fireman. I've been a fireman for 15 years. I'm telling you, your fire taxes are going to go up. You know, I just think it's a narrow-minded perspective of this building. It's a police building. It's not a public safety building. So if we're going to do this, let's do it right, and let's take it to the 21st century. So at the end of the day, we should be talking about terrorism. Is that designed? Is our property going to be designed to accommodate attacks on terrorism? I haven't seen that. Nobody talks about that. So how are you asking us to make a rational decision and a voting decision when none of that's included and none of that's disseminated to us? So I don't see the transparency in this whole process, because I think a lot of the times the issues aren't given to us. The real deal is not given to us. You can say an estimate of 3.8. I don't see it. I think it's going to be a lot more than that. Because, the reason I say it, because you're putting standard grade material in that building is basically what you're saying. You're not getting the fancy stuff. But you're also saying that it's going to take another 10 years. 10 years from now, we're going to be back in that building and trying to rehab it. Because the floor is going to be worn, because we're putting linoleum in. I mean, what kind of nonsense is that? If we're going to do it, let's do it right. That's my point. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else? Bill?
Bill Greenfield, Villas. I'm in favor of
Again, please, cooperate.
I'm in favor of a three-pronged approach. Bring the building to the Villas, new police building, hire more police officers, and until we get more police officers hired, if you have to pay some overtime to some for like the power squadrons that Tom wants, or
TAC unit,
whatever they are, then do it. I mean, we need that police presence out there. The police building's part of it. We need the extra officers, and the other thing is, the county entered into this at the 11th hour. I mean, where were they at when we started talking about this? And all of a sudden, they come in at the 11th hour, and then they present a report today. Was it today you received that? Friday. Let the county go on their own. I mean, we need that police station over here. Kind of resent what Eric said there about there's more than one part of the township, like, the Villas has put the police station here and the rest of the township's not going to have protection. I don't know where you're coming from with that.
No protection. I didn't say that. I said it would be inconvenienced.
Oh, so I think it's a major
There's
inconvenience
people that live
where it's at
pretty
now.
far away over in Diamond Beach and Shawcrest, south of the canal, and places like that.
pretty
That are
far
very
away.
happy with where it is, the
It's
location.
the needs center here.
It's pretty far away from it's located in a high crime area of the airport right now where it's not really accessible to anybody.
And Bill, if I may, that 11th hour report from the engineer says, the exposed roof framing of the EMS and parking areas are in good condition with some spot corrosion on steel members. The wood roof framing and plywood deck of the administrative portion was inspected through the existing HVAC penetrations and are in satisfactory conditions with some minor splits and cracking. The wood columns and E-brace in the administrative are covered with drywall and are not visible for inspection. No foundations in any building were uncovered for inspection at this time. The EMS building roof membrane is significantly weathered and has long-term ponding, as witnessed by vegetative growth on the roof surface. Overall, the roof surface structure, where visible and where inspected, are in good conditions. However, the roof covering the EMS are in need of immediate attention, and roof drains need to be cleared. Then, Building 8, in the next paragraph, currently would be classified as an essential facility. Then, the next paragraph, if they're going to alter, renovate, reconstruct, change, or use, or anything to an existing building, and they go by the IBC 209 code, thus, any one area may require minimal code upgrades, while other areas may require substantial building code upgrades. And the rehab subcode takes a logical approach to fixing up older buildings and would be applicable to Building 8. So when they go in there for any renovation at all, they would have to be going to the code. And that's where Mr. Shasky's trying to explain. You're going for probably $100 at least a square foot.
Part of my job, I operate air handlers, air conditioning units.
Yeah.
17 different units on a roof. Each one of those is a spot where you got potential penetration, potential leaks. The guy was asking about how come he doesn't know where everything goes. You'd have to tear the whole ceiling apart.
Right.
Each one of those air conditioning units, the ducts goes. I mean, unless you got, and a lot of times when those blueprints aren't available because they don't build them to the way the blueprints were written. One woman was up here saying, "What's the rush?" The rush is, I mean, like Jack said, there's no better time than the present. You start now, it's going to take probably 2 years to get it built. Construction costs are going to go up in the meantime. Bond costs are going to go up. It's no sense putting money in an old 70-year-old sick building. Our police deserve better. They deserve the best we can give them.
Somebody else? There's a gentleman right here. I'm not sure. Is it Bob? Come on up here, Mr. Bob. Leave the man alone.
Good evening, Robert Rizzo, Mickles Run. My question is, what has the county done for us lately? You know, came out of the blue. We've been debating this for 2 years. All of a sudden, the county wants to give us something. We're the largest municipality in this county. And the county's done nothing for us. Look at how long it took them to fix Fishing Creek Road. I questioned that 6 months ago. They finally came and did that. I'm afraid if the county comes and does this for us, they won't be doing us any favors. Let's come back to where we belong. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a hand back here. I just see the hand. One again. Somebody, okay, this young lady over here, and you'll be next. You'll be next in a minute. All right, just wait there until Glenn as soon as Glenn's done.
Glenn Douglas, North Cape, May. Councilman Simonson, you just said you were happy with where the police station was. But I do recall you were a member of the committee that unanimously voted to move the police station. Is that correct?
I did not vote to move the police station. And let me clarify some things that were wrong in Mr. Voll's report. Alternate site locations for a new police facility were never discussed, but no alternative sites were investigated. I investigated many sites, all right, including opposite of the airport where it is now, the old Rite Aid building, the old Breakwater Plaza. I looked at the old Acme Center, which is now occupied, and also a parcel of land at the end of Breakwater Road on Route 9. I brought that to the committee, and it fell on deaf ears. So,
well, first of all, number one, let me in here, real quick. The most important thing you got to understand about that committee, all right, is, and you were a member of the committee. It's not my fault that you didn't show up to vote at the final vote. The vote was unanimous. Not my fault. Okay? Let's make sure that that's out there. All right. Second, we started with the 2004 building analysis report, which was done by an independent professional team. Their number one recommendation in the year 2004 was exactly what we're discussing here tonight, to come back here to Town Hall and build new. Now, they acknowledged at that point in time that there had been significant money invested in the building at the airport. And as I have said countless times, it's why I didn't force the issue 10 years ago, because even though it was a lemon, we had to squeeze the lemon. Now you're at the point in 2014 where you've got two choices. You can perpetuate a mistake made 20 years ago and reinvest there. And God have mercy on this town if that happens. They put money into that building. As somebody who was a professional police officer, that's the worst thing that you can do. Or we can come back here in an orderly transition. You saw the pictures, and go ahead. I'll have more to say later, but go ahead, Glenn. You continue on.
Okay, I just wanted to bring that point. Being part of the committee, and the committee recommended moving the police station. That was a unanimous vote. Okay, Councilman Simonson was not available at that time for the vote. but all the remaining members did make that recommendation, along with the old prior report that said move the police station. I just asked, as my representative, Councilman Simonson, Ward 3, that you consider this and move forward with it, because the people that I've been talking to that I did represent prior to you have also agreed that this should be done.
Well, I've spoken to much more people than you have over the last 2 years, and I can tell you that there's a lot of them that don't agree with it.
Okay.
No.
Who else? John, you're up.
No, the lady.
The lady. Oh, I'm sorry. This lady here. This lady here.
My name's Josephine Ciuta. I live at 101 Nevada Avenue right here in the village, right by the,
Yes,
by
Miss.
the library. I've listened to everyone's opinions, pro and con, and I love my neighborhood, and I love our police department. And I do believe that going into that old building and putting a Band-Aid on it is not doing them any service. And I do believe that they deserve better than that. And I've listened to everything that Mr. Architect has had to say. It all makes sense to me. I'm not a statistician or a mathematician or a rocket scientist or anything like that, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that our neighborhood deserves the presence of not just the police department being around, but the building being here. And it's like if I put up a garden, I'm a gardener, and I don't put up a scarecrow, I don't have a good garden. Okay? Now, Mr. Wall, kudos to you. You've done a wonderful job previous where you were before in Middle Township, and you're doing a wonderful job here. And all of you are doing a wonderful job, and I have high respect for all of you. And no one deserves to be called a bully for doing their job.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Stig, and then John. Okay, go ahead, Stig.
I'll make it quick, Mike. I've listened to everybody. I was in this capacity, obviously, Stig Bloomquist, Mickles Run, North Cape May. And it seems to me that we're missing something here. Because if we do this, the taxpayers of this community are going to pay for it, correct? Why hasn't there been consideration to put this to a public referendum and let the taxpayers of Lower Township decide this decision? Not contentious group of council members. Let the public decide. Has anybody brought that up in council, and is that
Eric
being
and I
considered?
both have, and that's why when someone
You did recently. Now, let me go real quick here with this, Councilman. When we decided to do a citizens committee, which is open government, 2 years ago, I think almost 3 years ago that we formed it, at that time, had you said, I would prefer to have a referendum, that might have happened. But the bottom line is, and I've checked, and I don't see anything there, it's something that's recent, and the end result of that is that we have been discussing this thing in open forum for a dozen years. It starts in 2001 with the management review study, goes to 2004, goes to 2012. How much do you talk about before you do something? Oh. And then they make us, they elect us. We ran, Stig, on a campaign 2 years ago to do just what we're talking about. That's the ultimate referendum right there, isn't it?
No,
if
I
people
don't agree. I'll tell you why I don't agree.
Okay,
Because
well,
the
that's
reason why I
fine.
don't agree is there's a lot of people in the public, and they've made that point. They don't completely agree that that's going to be the cost. No disrespect to this gentleman here. It's a projected cost. They don't necessarily agree about some safety issues. Mr. Herron brought up the public safety end besides the police department. So why are we like shoving this down the public's throat? Why don't we put this out there, let the people decide themselves, instead of having the contention that we have right now? You said yourself that if you had heard it 2 years ago, you would consider it. Well, do it this evening.
Well, you
Table
know
a
what?
resolution,
You got to-
put it to a public referendum, and let the people who ultimately pay the price for that building make the decision.
Okay, thank you. All right. John.
John Skronsky, 607 Arctic Avenue. Being a resident of this township, I would hope that all council members will vote for this resolution. I think we need it. I've heard enough, and I'm ready for a vote. Thank you.
Good evening, Roland Roy, Irma Park, New Jersey. Just have a quick question. We entered into a lease agreement with the county regarding this building. What happens when we break the lease?
Well, we've talked about that, and frankly, you know, we go back about, how long ago was it that we had the meeting with the freeholder director?
I guess about 3 months.
And the last words that we heard on the way out the door was, tear it down. Okay, tear it down.
It's $1 a year lease, Roland.
It's $1 a year.
That's a moot point.
And basically, if the decision of council was to come back here and they want it, then we would sit down, talk with them, and see what they want to do.
Thank you.
Okay. Somebody else was sitting here that wanted to come up. I lost it. Okay. Okay, last call. Close the public portion. As far as discussion, council discussion, Councilman Conrad, I know you want more officers, but I have to ask you, maybe you can elaborate. I saw an article in the paper where you wanted to hire 13 officers.
No, that was a misquote.
You were misquoted on that?
Yes.
I just want to clarify.
That was the number of officers that we had back when we moved the police building.
Because, I mean, you know we have to pay for officers, and you know.
You asked me a question, can I finish?
I do. I just wanted to make sure that you clarified that, because I almost fell on the floor when I saw that.
No.
13 officers. Well, yeah,
Okay.
I got to pay it.
What I'm looking is the 46 that the chief of police actually asked for in July, and possibly 2 more to get the tactical unit back. This is not in 1 year. We're looking at 2 to 3 years to build up to that number. I'm sorry. What I'm looking at in July, the chief of police asked for 46 officers to get our number up there by 2016. I agree with that number. I'm hoping eventually, if everything works out, to get to 48 to definitely have the tactical unit back. This is the same number that Mr. Neville in his editorial stated he wanted to get to at 46. If I'm correct. So the numbers are there. As people retire, we replace them. We do need to get the officers back on the street for people to feel safe. The number 13 was just the number of where we were at that time compared to 1994.
Okay, I'd like to do a little history on this, and this will take a little bit of a couple minutes. If you go back, say, even to the very around 2000 through 2009, we were at 46 officers, 45, 46 through that period. Now, in 2009, we saw this coming. And council, and when we came into office the first time, they were instituting, we knew, and somebody said here last time, and they thanked us for not having ever laid anybody off inside of this township. And what we said was that we made tough decisions back then. And we talked with the police department, and I'm not going to say they were thrilled with it, but they understood. To maintain the level at that point in time would have required that we lay off other workers. We had to attrit people in order to stay within the 2% cap that was coming up. And we did that. Other towns crashed and burned. North of here, they laid off police officers left and right. They were dim years in the years 2010, 11 for police in a lot of communities. But we never did that, and we all agreed on that.
Yes, we did.
And we passed the budgets, because the budget's what's paid for officers. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So, you know, we work that. That's where the rubber meets the road, when you pass your budget, and this is what happens. So we sat, and we put one more on in 2013. We had to stay at 40. And the other thing that we did during that time was that we worked through the contracts to get new starting salaries, new step guides for officers to make it so that we could afford to hire more officers. And there was always the provision that when things got better, we would begin to rehire people. And we did. In 2013, we put an extra officer on. And in 2014, we put an extra officer on. We're up to 42 now. Now, you understand that we want to go to, and for the briefest of moments this year, counting academy people, we were at 44. But then we had 2 retires in the beginning of October. So we're going to put 4 in, and I don't think Lauren's on the floor yet, but we're going to put 4 in January, which will actually put us over the cap. And I've done my homework on this. It will result in a tax increase. Are you telling me you'll vote for that tax increase?
For that one, for putting officers on the street, yes.
Because you did not vote for the last one. In 2013. You voted no against the budget.
Yes, it is.
And you voted against hiring police officers.
No, I did not.
Yes, you did.
You're going.
I am right. You voted
You're
against the
always right.
budget.
I noticed that.
I am right on this. You can't sit here, Thomas.
Yes.
Sit here and tell me that you're for public safety and you're going to carry this flag up the hill that's marked, "I'm king of hiring," and wave it up there because you forgot something. You forgot your pants.
Well,
Okay, let me be quite honest with you.
Okay, let me talk.
And tell us again why you voted, and I'm going to give you this. I'm going to tell you what you got. Wait a second. I'll give it to you in a second. In 2013, we had a huge tax increase. Guess what? The truth hurts. And this is what the truth is. 2.9 cents, which was over $1 million. $1 million, and 3 people passed that. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster for this township. And the 3 people, and you know what? When I raise taxes, I can't even get my hair cut in this town. You can tell, I cut my own hair in a mirror that I've raised taxes. But you know what? That's part, and we're going to talk about this for a while, Tom, because this is what's called manning up. This is called having responsible.
Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. Go ahead. You voted against the budget for what reason?
Which was for the capital budget, which you included certain things in. And what was my statement concerning the 2.9
I'm going to give it to you because I got it right here.
Go ahead.
You know I brought this.
Okay, what did I say?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what you said. No, not at all. Today, right here, right now, because this gentleman sits here and carries the cross, and guess what? He's exposed. And like it or not, this is what he says. He stated he is aware that the argument over the capital budget would not affect this year's budget. He believes it's a wish list that has not been...
Okay, no. I went from the video, not the minutes. I want the video. What's the video say? The quote.
Same thing. I sat here, I remembered it.
You remember, and what other things you can't remember. No. You interrupt.
Okay.
I'm asking what was the actual quote, not the minutes.
He cannot vote for it with the capital plan in place. Now,
what did I say about the 2.9 cents?
You said, you had no problem with the operating budget.
And which I would
but you just not going to vote for it. And you know why, Tom? Because sitting on your shoulder is this little guy who's telling you, whatever you do, as he flicks the cigar, Tom, you got to run for re-election next year. You really shouldn't vote for that 2.9 cent raise. Not at all, guys. Not at all. The world, according to too bad. Too bad, because the truth be told. And you know what? If we had joined you and said, we're not raising taxes, do you know what $1 million hole would have done to this budget? We'd be down to about 35 officers right now. And that is the truth. So as you parade around and you don't vote for the police station and you don't vote for more police, my question would be, what do you do to protect your people?
I've been here trying to protect the police. How long?
You voted against putting police officers on the street.
No, that's your version of
it. Is the actual vote, Thomas. It's sitting right here. Here it is. Here it is. I'll give you the budget, and it says no. And the people, that said who said yes and took the hit for the tax increase was myself, Norris, and Glenn Douglas. And if we hadn't voted for that because Jimmy was on vacation, if we had not voted for that, this town would have ground to a halt. And you would be down to about 35 police officers right now. And that is the truth. And not only the cop that was hired that year, but since we didn't raise the budget the following year, that tax increase was generated by 2 things, if you remember this.
Appeals.
It was generated by tax appeals, and it was generated by a lower tax collection rate. And we had $1 million hole in the budget, and it wasn't our fault. But we weren't about to let the safety of this town go to ruin simply because we had to raise taxes. Now, you need to open your eyes and look at that, because that's exactly what took place. So when you sit here, it is what took place.
Okay.
That's your version.
That's your version, yes.
I call your excuse the cotton candy excuse, because when you look through it, there's nothing there. You can pull it apart.
I brought up the whole budget, certain things.
You did.
And I said, take it out, and I will vote for the budget. That is quoted in the tapes.
May I say something?
No, you can't.
My last thing is, whatever you voted to not go with that budget was more important than putting cops on the street.
Then how come I said if you took it off the capital budget out of there, I would vote for the budget?
Well,
that's right, you don't recall that.
I remember that very well. We had the auditor sitting here, and the auditor explained that the state requires, when you do a budget, that you have to put in effect a wish list of what might be in your capital budget. That's a requirement to have in a budget. But it's just a wish list, and it's something the state requires. And the auditor explained that to Councilman Conrad, saying that this is something that you're required to do. But you're not voting on that wish list. That's not what this budget is about. It's simply something we're required to do. It's just a wish list.
Which I said, take it out, and I'll be happy to vote on.
And then the auditor said, but you're not voting on that wish list. So basically, I think what the mayor is saying, Councilman Conrad, is that you said, I'm not going to support this budget because there's a wish list in there. There's a wish list item that I don't like. And the auditor said, it doesn't make any difference. It's just a wish list. It doesn't, you're not voting on that.
I already went through this argument a year ago, in which I said, take it out. If it's not important, let's just take it out, and I will vote on the budget right there and then. And you guys said, no.
But, well, no matter what.
Now you're going to say,
whatever you
because of this.
to paint and repaint it, because it doesn't matter.
No, the truth is on the video, and that will be seen.
Councilman Conrad,
you can say all you want.
The state required us to put things that were under consideration.
And to my mind, it shouldn't have been under consideration.
I understand that, but that's why you voted against the budget. You used that reason that you didn't like the fact that some people were considering a police station.
The video will show it out.
That's what it'll show.
Well, the records show you voted against the budget, and as you said just prior to that, and we know, the budget is what determines the size of your police department. Now, you may wish that you had that vote over again.
And no, I would still.
You would still vote against.
I want that out of the project.
Your cotton candy excuse is worth more than the protection of the people.
I'm not going to be like you and change what I say later on. Thank you.
I mean, no, Tom. Clap all you want. He voted against it.
That's your version, and the video will show.
I'm not sure. I'm not done yet. Well, all I can say is this. I wonder what you call somebody who votes against an issue and then the following year champions it. I think so. I'll give you a homework assignment.
Watch the video.
I'll give you a homework assignment. Are you ready for this one? Isaiah chapter 3, verse 4. Okay, that's all I have to say. All right. And that, it's not working out the way you hoped it would be, but then again, you know how you vote up here. And it's as simple as that. What you say, it's important, but it's more important how you vote. And I'm real careful with this, and believe me, when it comes time to raise taxes, none of us up here, none of us. And, and I just looked at that at the time and said he's not a team player. You found a reason to vote against a tax increase, and I get that. I just chalked it up to, but ask any teenager about unintended consequences of decisions.
Well, maybe I'll get on Facebook how I vote.
You do what you have to do. But the bottom line, this paper here, recorded in town hall, sent to the state, shows a no vote on the budget. And as it said in your mouth and mine, and it's common knowledge, the budget is the fuel for the hiring that we do. So no matter which way you shake that stick, you voted against hiring more police officers.
Because you
want your area and this town needed those officers more than anything. We're doing it the right way and incremental as far as trying to not hurt people with taxes, 1, 2, hopefully 2 more the following year. That's the right way to do it so that we don't break people's backs. All right, so go ahead. Tell me how you're voting now. We can talk about the police.
I'm not talking about how we're voting. Personally, I think this should be tabled for tonight because my questions for the past year have not been answered. No, listen. Okay, ready? Okay, shh. No. Ready? Are the court's plan approved tonight? Yes or no?
Yes.
They're approved.
They are. You have a letter.
No, is it approved or is it saying that they will reconsider it? Is it yet approved, yes or no?
Let me make it clear.
No. It's a yes, no question.
Clear, Counsel?
No, it's yes, no question.
Calm down, Tom. Calm down.
Yeah, calm down.
No.
I met with the court.
I want a yes, no answer.
Yes, we're in compliance with the changes made to this plan that the court's going to require, and Superior Court's going to approve it.
Okay, so it's no then. They're not approved today.
It's not Christmas yet either.
That's correct. Okay, is the parking plan approved with the county and the school? Yes or no?
Tom, I have the professionals here can talk to you about the parking plan.
Thank you.
I've inquired.
Mr.
I've inquired.
Are the parking plans approved with the county and the school? Yes or no? That's all it is. Is the parking plan approved? That's all I'm asking.
All right.
Is the parking plan approved with the county and the school? Okay, thank you. The answer to dispatch is not there. These are the questions that you promised that we would have the answers to.
You know,
that is all. No.
Every meeting, it's more questions. More
questions.
I have all the professionals giving you as many honest answers as I can give you. God only knows that this is going to go on the next meeting. You'll have more questions.
No, actually, it's this very simple question that I've been asking the same ones over and over, and all I'm asking is the table. I'm not saying vote. I'm not saying I'm voting against.
They haven't been the same ones over and over again.
Guys, we'll move on.
Yeah, okay.
Jimmy? I'm good. You're good with it? He's on. Eric?
I'm heard enough.
You heard enough?
No,
Morris?
heard enough.
I'll let you take the closing statement. Okay. Police building. Every professional that has spoken here, and I consider myself, the 2 chiefs, and Mike, has said bring back here. Bring it back. Now, I don't presume to go over to, say, the rescue squad with a bunch of counsel and say, well, we'll sit here and teach you how to handle hospital cases, nor do I go to this school and say, let me sit back and adjust your curriculum. The truth of the matter is that if you go back into the early 80s, policing was basically a by-the-book approach, and it was like, we're the police officers, and you people will listen, et cetera, et cetera. It didn't work. A lot of the problems in the 60s and the 70s led to the development of community policing. And I was involved with that extensively in Philadelphia. And coming down here and seeing the police in the back of the airport is probably like the opposite of that kind of a philosophy. The police station belongs back out here. There's a variety of reasons. Economic, I think it's almost folly to put money into a building that's 75 years old that was originally meant to be a tractor factory that leaks like a sieve. If the county's so hot to trot on it, let them have it. We'll save a lot of money just on utilities back here. I think from an economic standpoint, it's probably a plus. I think from an administrative standpoint, especially with the drug epidemic that's sweeping this town and other towns, not only ours, but it requires almost daily communication between the chief, the manager, myself, to sit back and say, this is what we need to do. I don't have that. One of the things that I miss so much and wish the police department was here is that most of the officers I see once every couple weeks, every couple months. Some I deal with a lot more than others, but that's not right. I would like to know a lot of the officers a lot better, and if they were right here, and I'm here every day, you can bank on that. I'm here every morning. And the point is that from an administrative perspective, it just never made sense to separate your most important department. The whole concept of policing and police philosophy, there's a variety of positives on this. I firmly believe if you go to, like, say Philadelphia has 26 police districts, the safest places are the block or so around each police district. They become like an island. It was at the district I worked. This police station here will have an impact on this area. The police come in and out to drop paperwork off. They come in and go to use the bathroom, whatever. But you'll have increased presence here. The value of it from even you look at people coming down here that are on vacation. They get lost trying to find the police station. I mean, that's a reality. I was amazed at the number of people in this area that have never seen the police station. How can you have a town and people have never seen the police station? It's almost absurd. And when I told you the story, I called the IACP, International Association Chiefs of Police architect located in Chicago, and he just said, they did what? And it was like, well, do you have any literature about putting police stations in the back of an airport? He says, why would we? He said, would you put a 7-Eleven in the back of the airport? And I mean, it's common sense for it to come out here. The concept of them not being or being too close to the children at the school. Oh my God, come on, that's insanity. I want the police. I taught, and I told you one of the things that modern teachers face in modern schools is the parent that comes in and there's a protection order. And I was, among other things, the teacher, janitor, and security guard at St. Raymond's. I want the police right there, and I want a panic button inside of the office at the school, Memorial School. So if anybody walks in there, gives them a hard time, and always when the school's running, you have the administrative staff, detectives, the captain, and all that sitting there. So if somebody in the Memorial School hit a button, they would be there within seconds. I mean, you can't ask for anything better than that. But it's also, the main thing is the ability to partner with the community. I mean, we've been through this. This is like insanity. There's no transportation to that place. I mean, you have to be kidding. How can you have a police station? You can't get there from here. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. But from a perspective of the location here, I get that it's not the geographical center. If we're going to do that, we'll probably put it in a swamp somewhere. But it is the needs center. It is close to the population center. And as been said, it will have a benefit here. It has no benefit except to the airplanes that are parked over at the airport. Here, it will have an intrinsic benefit. The question of safety versus perception of safety. I've been through this 100 times. If you have a car, somebody, especially a senior, pulls into the Wawa and they see a police car, they feel safe. Nobody has to be in that car. But if they pull in and they see a group of kids sitting in front of the Wawa and there's no police officer, they're just as likely to back out and go to the next place. It's a perception. There'll be a reality and there'll be a perception. They're both important in policing. You want people to feel safe. You want people to be safe, but you want people to feel safe also. It's an idea whose time has come. We've beat it up for 10 years. It's occupied an awful lot of time. I appreciate what our professionals have done. I thank them for all the efforts they put into this. You've been outstanding all the way. I think it's time now, and you know, we could pass this resolution with 3, but if we don't have 4, we're not moving forward. It's in a resolution state because it costs money to construct a bond ordinance, and there's no sense moving forward with the bond ordinance and charging the township for a situation that we're not going to move forward with unless we have the 4th vote. So I would ask that, do I have a motion to approve this resolution? Well, you have to read it first, right?
Resolution number 2014-260, a resolution authorizing the relocation of the Lower Township Police Department and the construction of a new public safety building adjoining Township Hall.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Julie, I'd like to make a motion to amend this
There's a
resolution.
motion on the floor.
Yeah, but I can make a motion to amend it, correct, Mr. Galzunas?
I don't know.
There's already a motion on the table.
Well, this is a motion to amend.
It's a motion to amend the resolution that's on the floor.
Well, Mayor, there's competing motions. The first motion in was the motion to approve the resolution.
And the second one's to
Right,
amend
well-
which Robert's rules. has
Someone
it.
would have to
Second to second.
withdraw the first motion.
I believe according to Robert's rules, after the second motion for the resolution, we can amend that at least make a motion to amend that resolution in which we vote on that, and then we vote on the resolution at hand.
We have a motion. The motion was for approving the resolution.
Okay, so we move with this one, right?
There was a second.
Right.
Now,
Then there was a motion to amend the resolution and a second.
Do you want to
So
look at Roberts?
we go over the amendment.
we're going to have to look
We
at
go over the amendment and vote on that, and then we vote on the resolution.
Look at it just to make
I
sure.
haven't been faced with this issue
Pardon me?
before. I haven't faced this issue directly before.
I don't think we want to.
I can give it to you if you like it. I mean, I know that's the way that it operates. I mean,
Is that the Roberts rules?
Yes, sir.
I always thought it was the first motion on the floor. That's what they've always told the classes, but I could be wrong.
Yes or no? That's the
Question on those. It's the question whether you can move.
I don't,
For a second to amend.
This is not, I don't know what this is. It's from dummies.com.
Okay. It's the Robert's rules version, but okay.
But I'm hesitant
Okay.
to rely on anything from a website called
I can
Dummies.
give you Robert's Rules of Order if
Yeah,
you'd
no,
like.
That'd
would-
work.
That would be good.
Chapter's marked. Always looking that up. I want to take a break for a moment.
The way it reads is the motion for the resolution is made, a second is made, then a motion for an amendment is made, a second is made. We vote on the amendment. When that is complete, then we vote on the original resolution.
Well, let me take a look at this and
Yep.
perhaps a short adjournment and
Yeah.
come back.
Okay, 5-minute adjournment. Take a break.
Councilmember Simonson to
All right,
amend.
excuse me, we're back. Thank you. Go ahead.
We have a motion by Councilmember Simonson to amend resolution number 2014-260.
Seconded by.
And we have a second by Councilmember Conrad. On the motion to amend, do you need to read the amendment?
Yeah, I'll read the
first?
amendment. Add it to Resolution 2014-260. Whereas the final cost figures for the police department construction project are not yet available, and whereas the final number and configuration of the adequate parking spaces is not yet available, and whereas the final approval from the administrative office of the courts for the movement of the municipal courts is not yet obtained, and whereas the final placement and cost of the dispatch center has yet to be determined, and whereas there remains the possibility of entering into a shared services agreement with the County of Cape May for the renovation of the existing building, which might save taxpayers a significant amount of money, and whereas there remains to be prepared a detailed safety plan to ensure that the proposed new location of the police department will not jeopardize the safety of our young school children or our seniors or other citizens and residents who frequent the proposed location. And whereas even if the police station is relocated, the township will still have a lease for the airport building, and the details of how to get out of that lease, the cost, and what will be done with the existing building have not been spelled out. That in light of the fact that many questions remain unanswered with regard to costs and logistical issues related to this project, and while members of council may agree in concept that a new police station is needed, it is the inherent right of each member of the Lower Township Council to await the final cost figures and the answers to all relevant project-related questions before casting a final vote on the legitimacy of this project.
Excuse me. Okay, and now, is that your motion? You have a second?
Yes, he had a second, myself. I had a
Okay,
second.
go ahead, do the roll.
What's the motion?
Councilmember
This is
Conrad?
this is a motion to adjust that.
No, hold on, let's make it clear that the motion, Mr. Simons' motion is to amend Resolution 2014-260 in accordance with the language that he just
Right,
read out.
it's not a new motion.
It's not a new resolution.
Resolution.
It's a motion.
Let's add the existing
Motion
resolution.
to amend the existing resolution to add what Councilman Simonson just read into the record.
What it's saying is, we'll move forward with the questions I've had before. We'll move forward. You can read it. There's nothing there. It's go forward. But it's addressing those concerns, saying, yeah, they're there.
Well, there's a ton of concerns that are, yeah,
Okay,
first of all,
I just want to understand what.
you brought this to us,
Yes.
There's not supposed to be discussion on it either when it's on the
Okay, I'm
floor
sorry.
for voting.
you know.
Okay.
So,
Oh, we can't discuss your amendment?
No, we're not supposed to discuss it.
that's an easy vote.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
No.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
No.
Mayor Beck?
No.
Now we're back on resolution number 2014-260. As originally put out, motion to adopt was made by Councilmember Neville, seconded by Deputy Mayor Clark.
Okay.
I'm ready for this roll call.
Go for it, do the roll call.
Councilmember Conrad?
No.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
No.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. Okay, that takes care of that. So we move down now, and we go to the regular meeting. And we start with council comments on the consent agenda.
I'd like to move parts of Resolution 2014-261. There's a payment in there I would like to, that should have been put on the regular agenda.
All right, hold on a second. Yo, guys, we're trying to finish off the meeting here.
Page 7.
Okay.
Uh, 7176. That should have been on the regular agenda.
2014-261. You want off the consent?
There's that part, it's yes. The payment of vouchers, it was just the one should have been on the regular agenda.
Okay.
Item number 7176.
We'll move the whole thing down?
How do you want to do this?
Can you move a part?
No, I'd have to move the whole resolution.
Move the whole resolution
Okay.
down. That's the only way it works. Okay, is there any other council comments on the consent agenda? Open up the public comments on the consent agenda. George?
George Doherty, Seashore Road. I'm just asking, is that this including the township bike path connection? Does that mean we're going forward on that? That's been approved?
That's correct. Mike?
Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't really overhear it.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
Approval of minutes? Want me to read it first?
Oh, you got to read them.
Yeah.
Well, we moved them down, right, the minutes? Or no, we moved the vouchers down.
Yeah. Approval of minutes, September 15th, 2014. Resolution number 2014-262 through 2014-276. Ordinance number 2014-11, salary and benefit ordinance for the Township of Lower. This is a required ordinance. This is the first reading. Second reading and public hearing is scheduled for October 20th, 2014. And ordinance number 2014-12, amending ordinance number 2013-21, an ordinance amending Chapter 475 of the Parks and Recreation Areas Ordinance of the Township of Lower. This is amending the Millman rental fees. This is also the first reading. The second reading and public hearing of this ordinance is also scheduled for October 20th, 2014.
Okay. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll move.
Make a second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes.
Resolution number 2014-261. This is for the payment of vouchers in the amount of $641,823.24.
Okay, council comments, public comments, close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
No.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
No.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. We'll move down to administrative reports, council comments.
I'd like to thank everybody that had participated in the Run for the Fallen. That was a great event. I would also like to send congratulations out to the Lower Cape May Regional football team for their wonderful win this Friday. End of the game, well, most of the game, they pulled it out. Proud of those boys, they fought back. I'd also like to thank St. Barnabas. They started a new event this year, blessing the emergency services, vehicles, and people. They're trying to get more community-oriented, and I would like to thank them for that.
Okay, Jimmy?
Well, me and the deputy mayor got to attend a Nature Conservancy, beautiful place over in Ward 3. East of the railroad tracks, 270 acres is being preserved forever, never going to be built on. The Garrett family donated that, and it's something that you would never even know is there, and it's beautiful and wonderful to take a walk at. And they had a nice demonstration. They had a raptor band in. It was one of those days where being a councilman is a wonderful thing. So, other than that, the Clubhouse Road update is the drainage culvert for Beverly is in the fabrication. It just got its engineering approval, and Clubhouse Road should probably be paved the last week of October. That's all I have.
Oh, yeah, I'd also like to, I'd like to thank Eileen and all the Gold Star mothers, everyone involved in the New Jersey Run for the Fallen. It's, it seems like it gets better every year as far as remembering those. Unfortunately, it gets worse every year because we have to add names to the wall and add mile markers to the run. It's great that, a couple years ago, I worked with Eileen to bring it to the school where Michael Scusa was a graduate at Lower Cape May Regional. It also helps to educate the children every year on things they may have forgotten about that some of our own have participated in protecting our rights and paid the ultimate sacrifice as well. So Eileen, kudos to you, and again, another great event this year. And Eileen actually ran it this year and did 4 miles of the leg. So congratulations. I know that was a big accomplishment. The other thing is, met this week again with school safety team committee. My vision is moving forward for at least a multi-district-wide and county-wide school climate and safety alliance. Met with Brian Marker and Officer Barkus and many of the staff and some citizens from the community, and developing the best practice, best procedures for drills and safety standards in the schools today. It's also to make sure that everyone's on the same page. We have a problem with, as kids move through elementary school into the middle school, into the high school, a lot of the drill protocols vary from school to school. We want to make sure it's consistent so everyone understands it as they progress from grade to grade, and we think that's important for all the schools. Other than that, again, Lower Cape May Regional did win their first game. It was very well attended, and that's the first game in 2 years that they've won. We've got a game coming up. It is home again this Friday. Anyone that can get out and support them. And I just want to thank all those right before the meeting. I had the opportunity to play and be a part of a benefit for the Donna Wise Kelleher Scholarship Foundation. Donna was went all through our schools, grew up down here, was a friend to many, also a family member, and she was had Cutting Edge. That's where it was held, the Cutting Edge Salon. She also taught cosmetology up at Cape May Tech, and that's the scholarship they raise money for every year. It goes to a student studying that field. Other than that, that's all I got.
First, I just want to initiate a constant watch on the MUA situation. I just want to note that every month that goes by, that we lose an opportunity to save the ratepayers money. Approximately, it's $83,000 a month in savings that all the auditors have projected could be saved at the MUA, and every month that we delay that, we are going to be losing that opportunity. The MUA put forth a budget at this past meeting. They didn't actually print it out and give anybody what the budget was, except that it was going to be an 8% increase over the previous year, and that they were going to be dipping into their reserves in order to keep from doing a rate increase. I'll be very anxious to see what that budget is and what's involved with that. It also came out the last MUA meeting that there was a major mistake, a mess over in Miami Avenue as a result of the MUA dug up the street. A lady got up and was very upset about the mess that it was causing her water situation. And then they had to admit that they dug up the street without a permit. And it came out that the costs of digging up that street without the permit was about $27,000. And that was a sorry thing to have to hear. I also am sad that they continue to misappropriate funds by spending money on a PR firm to try to advocate their cause. They shouldn't ought to be using ratepayer money. One ratepayer got up and said, "I don't think my money ought to be used to promote your particular agenda." And then also, I want to shift gears then and just say that every council session, I want to keep an eye on how the MUA is doing and recognize and remind everybody that we're losing opportunities every month that we go by to save $80,000 a month. Okay, that's real money for all the folks of this township. Now, this Sunday, there's going to be a special occasion over at the Fishing Creek School. That is a state historic landmark that the state owns, leased to the township with the promise from the township that they would take good care of it, and the township fulfilled, all of us here supported fulfilling on that promise to take good care of the Fishing Creek School. The reason we wanted to do it was to be able to turn it over to the school system and be able to use it in ways that they would see fitting, like early childhood education and after-school reading programs. And I was able to sit down with the superintendent of the elementary school today, who's very excited to form a committee to come into the building and come up with a plan on how they're going to be using it, including the early childhood education program. Do you realize our teachers, we have 2 teachers that are trained to go into the homes of families with 3-year-olds and help parents, some of whom are parenting for the first time, help them and coach them on getting their child prepared for preschool. And those parents sometimes would prefer that the teachers didn't come to their homes, and they'll now be able to go over and have the early childhood education programs at the Fishing Creek School. But the Friends of Fishing Creek School have been laboring for the last 4 years, and even today, one board member of the Fishing Creek School Friends was out there painting the old garage that was next to it that was such an eyesore for this township. And he's painting it so that it will be a nice, good-looking condition as we open that brand-new school, which is now ADA compliant with a bathroom, with heating and air conditioning. And it's going to be able to serve the township for educational purposes, serve as a community and cultural center, art exhibits, weddings, and so forth. And it went from something that was hidden and was broken down to now being a real gem for this township. It's going to have a grand opening on Sunday, this coming Sunday, from 5 to 7, and guess what? There'll be complimentary refreshments for everybody, including pizza and refreshments complimentary of the Friends of Fishing Creek School. So we invite you to come and get a tour of that building, see what it was like, where 4 grades would come together in one building. And as we're going to have one of the students that was there, who's now 94 years old, Ella Fox Elliott, will come and talk about what it was like to be a student in that school and the kinds of things that, some of the things we've forgotten over the course of our time. It's according to her, back in the day, in that one-room schoolhouse, the word bullying had never been invented. They didn't have bullying, she said. People had a lot of respect. And what the superintendent told me today was that there's a lot of things we can learn from what they did in that old one-room schoolhouse. And he's looking forward to take an opportunity to educate us on how we can educate our children by going back to some of the basic approaches of that old one-room schoolhouse. It has new blackboards, new light fixtures. It's going to be beautiful. So we'll have a tour. Everyone's invited. From the first hour, we'll have a thank you for all the folks that have donated money. And speaking of donating money, I also want to make a nice little point to that big sign out there. These are the folks that have been donating money to help this township do things that the budget can't quite fit in, including the recreation department programs and the fireworks and other things. And I always promise those businesses that I would say thank you over and over again. So that's my fulfillment of that promise. Thank you for all those businesses.
What time's the Eagles on Sunday? Uh-oh. Oh, okay. No, never mind. I think they're the
your
Sunday night game. All right. I'll be there. We have the fall trout stocking. Sounds like socks. Begins October 7th across New Jersey. They actually have a trout stocking hotline, if anybody wants it. You have the Halloween costume parade, Saturday, October 18th at Cold Spring Village. Parade begins at 11 a.m. Registration begins October 11th at the Recreation Center. You have the Haunted Trails, October 25th at the airport, 7 to 9. Trick or Treat in Lower Township will be Friday, October 31st, 6 to 8 p.m. And with that, we open it up to the call to the public. Yes, sir.
My name's Fred Long, Cold Spring. I have an item about the Lower Cape May Regional School District funding. I'd like to call to everybody's attention Rich Degner's article this morning in the Atlantic City Press. He gives a good summary of this.
Right.
And in my conversations around about this issue, people have displayed to me some confusion, which Rich's article speaks to and clarifies. One of the short paragraphs here says, voters in all three towns will be going to the polls on November 4th to decide if the per pupil cost prior to 1976 should be restored. This is not to be confused with the December 9th ballot question, Cape May petition for asking to leave the school district. This is a special election with just one just one question. Some people are mixed up over this. They think the school election is to decide the whole school question on September 9th. This article clears that up.
December 9th.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It does. It does.
And
we're going to have to go back in and re-educate.
The November 4th election is really important for all the people of Lower Township.
Sure it is.
Because that election will decide whether or not $6 million plus gets dumped on Lower Township as a tax increase. And people have to be prepared for that question on November 4th. And there is a school question on December 9th, which deals with whether or not Cape May City can withdraw from Lower Cape May Regional.
Right.
But there's two separate things.
Yes.
I just commend Rich's article to everyone to clarify.
I'll get it. I just didn't get a chance this morning. The Lower Township Taxpayer Association has been walking point on this issue. basically more than anything because they have the ability to raise funds or to take funds from people who are interested in contributing. We were handicapped by not being able to spend anything, but however, our philosophy is just vote no on both, and that clears everything up. Just vote no.
Just vote no.
On
You don't
both,
have to
on
think
both
about it.
questions.
But you got to vote no twice.
Twice you do. And
That's
it's hard. We're going to have to, keep it up with, there's signs out there and there's handouts. And we did a robocall, and we're going to probably have to go back in and reinvent this right after this election to prepare for December. But thank you for bringing that up. I will look at that. Does anybody else wish to address council? I saw, and there's a gentleman in the back too, and then, you can go, Janet, and then the gentleman in the red.
I just wanted to back up what you said with Fred and let you know the Taxpayers Association has everything covered, and there'll be massive educational program for both the ballot questions, so we have it covered, no worries.
Did you put your signs out yet?
We're starting to.
Okay.
But we're being thrifty and strategic.
Okay. Thank you. A gentleman in the red shirt, please.
It's Jim Rose.
Hi, Jim Rose, 103 Town Bank. After the issue on the sidewalk was turned down, and it didn't matter to me one way or the other on that, but I walk Shore and Beach Road a lot, and the fact that that was turned down, I was wondering, and I'm not sure how it gets proposed, that's why I brought it here tonight, is if it was possible to make Shore and Beach Road one-way during the summer months, maybe from Memorial Day till October 1st, going in the northbound direction. They said no one ever brought it up, so that it was never proposed. So I figured I'd bring it up tonight and let people walk on the southbound side and let the cars just use the northbound side. So.
Well, trust me, it was brought up, and, whether they go south or whether they go north, but Mr. Moore's given me traffic engineer's phone number, and I'll be getting hold of him this week. And Lieutenant Green was tasked with, he was going to check, to see the validity of whether that can be done.
So they were looking at it, but I just wanted to make sure it was up. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Somebody else have their hand up? This, George?
George Dougherty, Seashore Road. I just wanted to back up. I was here at the meeting where Mr. Conrad, where you mentioned something about Mr. Conrad. It went down exactly as Mr. Conrad said. I remember he said just one line item. Nobody knew what it was. Everybody said, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. And nobody knew what it was. And he just said, listen, take it out, and I'll vote yes on this next week. There was no discussion that said, oh, we won't be able to hire police now if you don't. There was nothing like
George,
that going on.
George.
Thank you, George.
I'm just saying that little outburst was not fair, Mr. Beck.
Wait a second, George. Slow down.
That was wrong.
No, it's not. The bottom line is you vote to pay people. If you don't vote to pay for them, that's the game, set, match. That budget is a vote, and it was explained to him, and if you read the minutes, the auditor explains in detail.
I was here. I
got
remember
it.
word
I
for
got
word
the
it went
minutes here.
down like Mr. Conrad said. I'm just,
It went down
we
in
can't
his
hire police now because of
George,
this.
I'm not saying he didn't say that he was voting against it because of the budget or the capital program. What I'm saying is, as I said, there's unintended consequences, and that vote was a vote against hiring because it was a vote against the budget.
It seemed like a little bit of politicking went in there. I didn't think that was appropriate for a meeting like this.
Well, your point's well taken.
Yeah, it's just so you know, I just felt that was
Thank you.
very off-center there.
Thank you. Anybody else? Close the public portion. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Heard it.
Well, you got to.